Hello and welcome back to Roll the Bones. My name is Rob and I'm joined as ever by my wonderful players Dom, Matt and Mike. And I will be asking the question that I always do. What happened previously on Knights of the Apocalypse?
Lag.
Lots and lots of lag. That's what happened last time.
It prevails within our memories, that is correct. But
gameplay-wise?
So we had loot and a chat with Swiftstone, who revealed that he was the one who put Bogram in the ledger. In the will, sorry. Not the ledger.
Ledger.
Just in the ledger. What else? Has connections in the castle, so is able to put up a distraction.
To allow us to speak to the king.
And I said I need a map of the castle, and he went, council tower then, so at least I know where I'm going. I think that was the long and short of it, and then we kind of debriefed to him what we'd encountered. We didn't give him all the information, but I think that may have been for the best. I don't know. It's difficult to trust a shady character. You don't know how much you can...
An actual spy.
Yes. How much that can turn and bite you in the ass. But I think that was pretty much it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then, aside from
the
doing...
cave, didn't we?
Yeah, we did anything. We did potion buying to cure Bogram, and then we went to the Necro Cave.
Did we spent so much of my remaining money on restoration potions because they're very expensive. But I got my points back, so I don't have to wait for days. And then we went for a night out.
Well, before the night out, we yanked each other's chains.
We yanked our chains, yes.
We yanked our chains.
All together.
Oh yes, we did, of course.
And
In
for
a circle.
a long story short, we have altered reality in how critical hits and critical failures now work in our game. As we discovered in the second fight coming up. But I think it's safe to say if we were to do the chain again, we could probably
undo it,
yeah. Depending on the situation.
How much the DM or the rest of us really want to explain this to anybody that watches. It's an old rule that we used to use, but it
was featured.
It is a rule. It's an official rule. It's just a variant rule, and it can.
It's from a harsher age.
Yeah, not derail a game as such. I don't think that's a fair thing to say. I think that it can be super vicious in that you can basically end up with a save or die on any extreme roll.
There's a chance for extreme death on any critical.
Yeah, and I think we've all had characters that have fallen prey to it in the past, where everything seems to be going swimmingly, and then one extreme roll comes up. Somebody rolls a 20 or a 1, and you are dead or dying. And so Rob very kindly and I think cleverly has come up with a way for us to sort of include it in the game.
It only includes it puts the responsibility solely into your hands, so you will have the benefits of it. But say, for instance, you realise that you're going to go into, I don't know, a complex filled with Warforged, then maybe you wouldn't want it on. So there is that.
If we were fighting a bunch of swashbucklers that are using rapiers and lots of crits going on, you'd maybe not want that to be happening so much.
It's now in there, so yeah, you as characters can make an informed decision, because you've seen for yourself that it imbues you with sort of like a lethal kind of power that affects the tides of fate ever so slightly. To talk about it in a meta aspect, anyway.
Yes, as Silaster not only went for his normal garrote, but actually decapitated them with the garrote this time.
Yeah,
I personally am a massive fan. I've always been a massive fan of it because I enjoy chaos and anarchy in any game. The more anarchy in the game, the better. I love it.
It actually reminds me, because I think I screenshot it last time, but then I realised that you hadn't discussed the chain for so long that when it came to it in the session, I didn't have it to hand, and I was like, oh god. And so let me just see if I did screenshot it, because I'd like it on hand all times now. It should be anyway within my critical and fumble table. Here we are. But as you can imagine, I was also hesitant to open anything else on my computer last time we played.
Yes.
So that's another thing.
Yes.
But it looks like I actually do have it here, so that's good. So that is there now. The fumbles and the crystals are up for anyone. But anyway, so yeah, that happened in the fight. You got approached by the cult of the Lightbreakers. They fell upon you, but then tables turned pretty quickly as they struck at you when you were by the Waywell. That's where you were.
Yes, we'd gone for a bit of a break. We decided to have an evening of merriment and an evening off, and Bogram decided to take his son with him as it was an evening off. And then they were ambushed in the street by these guys. And things got a bit...
It got out of hand, didn't they?
Yeah,
Well,
things got a bit hairy.
one of them struck a nerve with Bogram by targeting him and his son.
Oh yeah, lightning bolt straight at the two of the Graves boys. Not cool. Not okay. Bogram was very upset and scared that guy to death.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Phantasmal killer all the way. And it was great. But we won. And then retreated.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because that's basically where we left it. We left it with two things. We left it with Werner looking at you in a mixture of horror and wonder, probably is the best way to describe Bogram. And it also ended with Cry whispering in your ear, Ansel.
Yes.
Of the night to come, so from midnight onwards, the Sickle Moon will be upon you.
Just as we're going into the castle.
It's a good question. It is a good question, because you alluded there, Matt, that you would have retreated. Is that so? Would you have just gone?
Well, I think we probably had kicked up a big old stink in the street there, and would, given what we're doing tomorrow, would be trying to not draw attention to ourselves. So it would be my opinion, at least, that we should retreat.
Yes.
Okay. And by retreat, does that mean you would fall back to Graves & Co? Okay. Then that's...
We also should get the child home, right? Like...
That is where we'll go.
He's probably a bit freaked out.
So, we return back to Graves & Co. And that is where we pick back up. You hadn't been out too long, to be honest. I mean, you just arrived at the Waywell to enjoy a bit of relaxation before tomorrow's appointments, shall we call them? And then it has struck. So it is really early evening, and as you return to Graves & Co, we'll start with you, Obsidian. Then you notice that your son is very quiet, but there's a mixture, perhaps of pride, perhaps relief that he isn't like in pieces. Werner doesn't appear to have like completely broken down at the sight of the cultists being eradicated by the strangers. What are you thinking as you return home?
Well, I think the thing to do, I think he would take him into the kitchen. And he would sit him down at the table and would make him a hot drink. And then he would sit down with him and say, look, I know that tonight was a bit of a shock. And you saw some things. You saw me and Uncle Silas. Silaster, I mean. And Ansel doing what we do. And you maybe have questions, possibly. If you do, ask and I'll tell you the truth.
Is that what you've been doing all the time that you've been away?
That is a part of what we've had to do while I've been away, yes.
That man, he looked at you as if he'd seen something terrible.
He did. And he did see something terrible. I showed him something terrible. But it wasn't real. It was made from magic. That man was trying to do us harm. And it was necessary to stop him from hurting you and anyone else in the street that was caught in the crossfire.
What did they want? Why did they attack you?
They attacked us because we are trying to stop something bad happening in the city. We arrived having fought against some pretty bad people. And I like to think we've done some really good things. We've saved a bunch of people. And we've stopped some very bad people doing very bad things. But those bad people are here now. And they know that we are here. And so they want to stop us from getting in their way anymore.
Is that why you've been wearing that mask? That mask that Mum made?
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. I was hoping that it would keep you guys safe so that people wouldn't bring the fight here. So far it has, but that obviously was a little too close for comfort.
Your friends, they don't wear masks.
No, they don't. To be honest, I haven't actually talked to them about it too much, but as far as I'm aware, they don't have people to keep safe like I do.
I didn't realise this is what you were doing. I didn't understand.
I can't say it's all about heroics. I've also been trying to get money, treasure, things like that to improve our life here. I've brought some of it home so that you guys can not struggle and not worry. Just want to make everything easier for you guys growing up.
He'll look sort of like coldly into the dark, the growing dark, Graves and Co. And then he'll look you directly in the eye, Bogram. And it's probably the first time he's looked at you directly in the eye since you've returned from your long journey. And he will say, "And what if you die?" How will that improve our life here? They tried to kill us.
I mean, it's been a risk. It absolutely has been a risk. I have things in place so that if I wasn't around, you would have plenty to keep you going. I suppose I just try not to.
The chair scrapes back and he says, "But we wouldn't have you." And he leaves the room. Silasta, you you've made it back at the same time. Is there anything that you want to do with this evening, with the remainder of the evening?
Silasta was taking his meditations quite abruptly. He's planning to wake up very early.
Okay. So you're just resting for now then, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay. The darkness, as it's autumn, does not take too long to arrive. And Ansel, you begin to feel a sense of anticipation. You feel like the shadows are finer. The silky blackness that grows outside is sweet. Is there anything that you're doing in the build-up to midnight?
Not so much in the build-up. Obviously, once the moons arise, he has the mirror he can look into. Although he's slightly worried about that now after last time. I think if Silas is resting, he's probably sat awkwardly in the same room as Silas. He's like sort of awkwardly trying to make conversation, not really realizing that this is the same as Silas sleeping. He thinks he's just sort of sat there. So he's just sort of musing on things that have happened in the day. Sort of talking at Silaster. And obviously Silaster often doesn't talk back, so it's not he doesn't appreciate that this is a one-way conversation and Silaster's actually not paying any attention to him.
Amazing. I love that very much. So there's nothing that you guys want to discuss or prepare at this point at all, or are you happy just to take your rest now? I know, Silas, that
I'm planning
doing that.
to wake up in the dark.
Okay.
When the sun is still down, I'm planning to wake.
Bogram, anything that you want to prepare? I know you said that you cast a bunch of spells into your ring before. Anything else that you want to do?
No, there's nothing else I need to do. Those remain until I cast them, so no, I'm set. I'll just get my rest.
Okay, very good. Where are you resting? Where do you usually rest in Graves and Co, Ansel?
I think because they probably don't have spare rooms, really. It's like a relatively large family for the space, I imagine. So I suspect Ansel sleeps in the most comfortable space afforded to him by Bogram, which is probably one of the display coffins.
Very good.
Because they're quite cushioned, aren't they? They're quite.
Yeah.
And the best ones at Graves and Co are top notch.
Yeah.
Very good. so you'll rest in the lovely mahogany number in the corner.
It's a rich mahogany.
Yes.
It smells of leather.
But you, as you rest, your eyes open and you see almost like a mirage as you look at a reflection in the window that faces you. There is the glimmer of two thin sickle shapes that rest there, and it's almost like their eyes watching you, meeting your gaze.
Ansel will get up and go towards the reflection. Can I be of service?
What you are doing is already service enough, Ansel. The young girl's voice echoes in your mind. And there is much for you to do during this time of the cycle.
Like what?
To look in the mirror, to find what you're looking for.
Ansel will, at that, take out the mirror.
Yeah, the shard of mirror gleams in the light of the Sickle Moons, invitingly.
Well, I did promise Gal. So, the person I wish to see is Gower.
The surface of the mirror appears to ripple like a pool of water, and your reflection vanishes, and then you see what looks like a range of sparse, jutting mountains. It's almost like you're getting a fly-by view. Your vision moves across a starlit night, lit by the Sickle Moons, to this mountain range. And as your vision moves around to fully view this location, you see beneath a city that looks very familiar. It's the city that you're in. The city of Valdenor rests with its back against these mountains. You can see them every day. These are the Grenial Mountains that you see. They act as sort of like a natural barrier that divides the north and south of Orenthale. And as your vision moves in closer, you see that there is a great throne of ice and stone, and upon it is one of the biggest creatures you think you've ever seen. It is a giant, rocky, humanoid-shaped figure that rests upon its throne. It doesn't appear to move. In fact, it appears to be as still as the rocks and the mountains that it rests upon. From this, you get a particularly good idea from the angle of where the city is, roughly where that throne would be in the Grenial Mountains.
Interesting.
There he sits, a king without a kingdom. How sad.
Yes. It does have a touch of the tragedy to the whole thing, doesn't it?
Very much. But then...
I suppose for the... Oh, sorry.
But
Go
then all good stories are tinged with a bit of tragedy. Would you not say?
I might go even further and say that all stories are tinged with a bit of tragedy. Good or otherwise. So for the item...
Yes. Speak it.
I'm curious. There is a whip made of teeth. They used to be in our possession for a short time. Now resides with a creature named Grin, I believe.
Yes. So, the object that you seek is very much still upon this individual, so you can make out. Grin is somewhere particularly dark and rolled up, sort of fitted to his hide rags and belt. This toothy belt hangs, and he appears to be making his way through a dark tunnel that rushes with greenish algae-infested fluid.
Nice.
Bright green it is, almost, as he makes his way through this tunnel.
That sounds familiar.
Does look familiar, Ansel. But you can't really see Grin so much, you can sort of tell it is him from his gait and the way he sort of lopes along. But yeah, the location it's in is very, very, very familiar, confirming to you that the Ogre Mage is in the city.
All of my visions are in one place this week, it seems.
Yeah.
So the place, I suppose, the can't remember his name. I just think of him as the Grand Vizier of Valdenor. His office.
Ooh. Okay. You see before you a brilliant, sweeping, long table lined with seats. You see a vast window that looks out at the sweeping city of Valdenor. You see there's map tables, bookcases, and you see Apophis, the first voice, sat at the very end of this desk, and he is appearing to be writing with a long quill, hunched over this writing. And it's as you're looking at this that you feel the shade sort of standing next to you, Ansel, at this time, joining your shadow for a moment. And the shade, familiar with such things, reaches out a finger and points. Apophis, the first voice, is sat there, and like I mentioned before, the shadows have grown long on this autumn night, but that doesn't excuse the fact that Apophis appears to have 4 shadows coming from only one light source in that room.
Thank you, Shade.
He just looks at you sort of like silently and kind of just like gives one nod. And then the image upon the mirror flickers and fades. There is one last thing, Ansel. One last thing I would beg of you. Reach out to me again to receive your gift.
You wouldn't try and trick Ansel, would you, Annie?
My dearest, I would never deceive you. I would never lie to you. I love you. Reach now. And you see her for the first time in this vision, the silhouette of this little girl, and suddenly she's bathed in brilliant white pearlescent moonlight, and she reaches out a hand.
Very well. And Ansel will reach towards the reflection.
Give me a will save. It is a spell or spell-like ability.
27.
You feel the brilliant light almost scorching you as you seem to like reach into the mirror, into the reflection. What thought or what instinct is it that keeps Ansel from like succumbing to this power?
So I think it's probably the shade next to him, this combating the light with darkness that stops it tearing into his weak flesh, and allows him to pull himself backwards away from it.
And as you reach, you feel something peculiar happening to you. But it isn't unnatural. Oddly enough, it feels right. It feels like this was meant to happen. And the little girl, she gives you a smile. And she says, "You may reach anything, should you set your mind to it." You look at your arms, Ansel, and they are beginning to grow. They're beginning to stretch to an inhuman length. You look on in wonder as you take on a new elbow joint, so long as your arm grows. As you unlock an innate power within yourself, your arm reaching into the moonlight, and then you blink and you're back in the room and the vision is at an end. And I've sent that to your just personal messenger, Dom.
Thank you. Oh my god.
The morning arrives.
Yes.
And it is Silaster's turn to get up because, as I understand it, you said you wanted to be up and early today.
Yes, just before the sun rises.
Yeah, certainly. So as the sky begins to grow orange, thankfully it's another clear day again. So while it is autumn, it is not as miserable as it could be. What are your intentions this morning, Silaster?
Werner's getting a knock on his door.
Dun, dun,
I say a
dun.
knock. I'm just going to go in afterwards.
Yeah, you go in and typical teenage boy, one foot hanging out of the bed. He's completely under the covers, but for like you can see his massive wiry black hair is sort of everywhere.
Shake him awake again.
What? You can tell that Werner has been dreaming, and that you're shaking awake. He kind of like, for a second, looks like he's in a situation beyond his power, beyond his control, and then his eyes fall on you and he says, "It's you."
Outside. I have one more thing to show you.
He sort of looks at you and says, "Only one?"
One's enough.
He sort of like gets up and he sort of pulls like a long kind of like a shirt on and his breeches, his boots, and then he says, "Do you know if Dad told Mum about what happened yesterday?"
I don't understand much of how humans work, but know this. Your father valued his secrecy and his privacy. He will do what is best for you. Follow me.
He says nothing more and he follows you out into the cold morning. There is thick layers of frost that cake the ground outside Graves & Co. And he sort of like looks at you. You're in the graveyard again. The sort of the bit out the back with all the ruined graves.
Yes, and the hole I pushed Werner into last time.
And the hole that he got pushed into last time, yes. He has not forgotten that. that is a lesson he won't soon forget. He sort of looks at you sort of like dully with tired eyes and says, "It's freezing."
Good. I have shown you defense, control. But before I leave you to focus on what I've taught you, I have one more thing. And then you're on your own. You saw everything that happened yesterday.
I did.
Yes.
I saw everything. I couldn't stop thinking about it last night. You cut that man's head off.
I did.
I don't even know how you did that. You've not shown me anything like that. And that I'm grateful.
Well,
he says with an afterthought. That you've not yet used those moves in any training session as of late.
Discipline and focus will make you a better fighter. And only through your self-discipline will you improve. But the Snow Elf sages have another trick. Silaster kneels in front of him and gestures to him to kneel as well.
He sort of looks down and then sort of like half begrudgingly, half curious, kneels down his knees on the frost.
As he does it, Silaster will hold his hand and allow the shadow just to start creeping across it.
He looks like with wonder as you do this.
You have seen it, which now means you can understand what is possible. But I was taught to hear the darkness and see the silence. And when you do that, you too will harness it
darkness. See the silence.
You are young. You have time. I cannot give you this power. But you have seen it. And if you reach into yourself, and if you focus and channel everything into the night, the cold, you can start. But know this, I'm over 100 years old, and it has taken nearly those years to get to where I am now. When we go, you will need to be able to defend yourself, your mother, your sister, and maybe one day your father. Are you prepared?
He sort of looks out into the cold morning. I don't know.
Good. I'd worry if you're absolute. Stand. We spar.
You see like a smile come across his face. One of the few you've ever seen from him. And then, yeah, you spar. Bogrim, you sort of awake with a start. You think you were dreaming, but you don't really remember what it was that you were dreaming about. You knew it wasn't pleasant, but it's one of those that the more you try and think about it, the more nebulous it is, and it fades away as the morning sun creeps into your quarters. Your wife's still asleep. What are your intentions for the morning?
So he will take some time, get himself together. He'll brush up his gear and whatever, although he's not necessarily going to put it on, like the mask and stuff, for the moment because of what he's doing. But he will brush up his cloak as well for his business wear. Just get himself looking ready to go to the palace and to fit the role of the mortician. And the whole time I think he's just trying to think of what he wants to ask, the questions he wants to ask the king. And sort of how best to go about sort of what's to come. And I suppose in some way he is trying to sort of mentally brace himself for that, because as with everybody else, he's not blind to the sort of heresy, the nature of using this particular spell on the King of Valdenor. But yeah, he's willing to do it, but he accepts that, like, even for the greater good, even to find out what was going on and stop some great evil, a lot of people would see this as completely unforgivable. So he's sort of trying to get himself into the mindset and let go a little bit of the moral quandary. But yeah, he just gets himself dressed, gets a bite to eat. I think he will have told his wife about what happened. I don't think he keeps anything from her in particular. I think perhaps he goes, he makes some of the stories he tells her a little bit less dramatic, perhaps.
Yeah. Tones them down a little.
He maybe undersells it. Yeah, absolutely. He's like, I wasn't that close to death. Like, there was a few of them. I don't know. I didn't count. But he tells her everything, and yeah. So he just sort of wants to spend time, because if this goes wrong, he could end up locked up, or So yeah. But then once that's done, he'll catch up with everybody else. He'll probably stand at the window and watch the training session once he's at the end of the training session. So I imagine it starts long before he's actually up.
And it's as that training session finishes that an exhausted but fresh-faced, happy-looking Werner comes inside. And he will walk past that. He doesn't seem his usual solemn, shall we say, to be polite, self. There's a bit of an energy to him as he runs. He rushes by, doesn't make a thing of it, just goes past to get changed, ready for the rest of the day.
Okay. I think he's got some stuff to say to Werner, actually.
Oh, well, you can catch him then, in that case.
He's had the night to think about it stuff, but I think he'll let him finish up with his training and get himself sort of dressed and washed off and all of that stuff.
Yeah, he comes downstairs, washed and ready for the day.
Mm-hmm. And I'll have some breakfast ready for him and sit him down and say, look, I've had to think about what you said. And whilst I understand your perspective and I appreciate your perspective, and I understand your worry, you're not the only one in the city that shares this worry, this feeling, these responsibilities. I would say that the family of any soldier in the city, any local militia, anything like that stands up and does what is necessary to protect people. Those people experience the same fears. Those people are in the same risk. The problem is that when you have the ability to do something that is right, when you can help, then you have to. And unlike those soldiers, I am uniquely equipped to do what I do. So I am, in fact, less at risk than they are. So whilst I do understand where you're coming from, I hope that you can come to terms with the fact that this is something that has to be done. And because I can do it, it has to be me. But I will always come home.
He looks down at his feet for a moment. And he thinks for a moment. And only Werner will know that in his mind he hears a voice that says, "Hear the darkness, see the silence."
Oh, God. What have you turned my son into, Silaster?
And he'll look at you and he'll say, "You're right, Dad. I didn't realise that you could do this. I didn't realise that when you were going away, I don't mean to sound horrible or rude, but I didn't realise that you were able to do that and do it well. I don't have any memories of you fighting growing up. I don't have any memories of you being able to do that. But you're right. If you do have gifts, then you should use them. I'm going to look into finding my own now."
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that he's done this, and you actually can't help but be a little bit impressed, because he's now manoeuvring himself into the non-negotiable permission of him being able to start learning stuff.
Learning stuff. Yeah. Makes sense. Absolutely.
He gets up and he sort of awkwardly stands there, and then awkwardly hugs you.
Yeah. I mean, hug him back. It's not awkward.
By awkward, I mean
Bogram's not awkward
as
about
a
that stuff. Gives him a great big hug.
Yeah.
He tries to make it awkward, but Bogram just pulls him in.
And it's a bit later on then that the day is well and truly in full swing, that we rejoin the strangers, perhaps standing in the foyer of Graves & Co., ready to depart. What do you want to discuss? What do you want to plan? I knew there was word of you all going on your own things, or will you be united in your cause? Which you'd argue, well, I don't want to tell you what to do. What's the plan?
Before we make a plan, I saw something very interesting last night. The, what's his name, Apophis? I saw a vision of him in his office, and he had 4 shadows. So,
4 shadows.
Perhaps there's more there than first.
I mean,
he's on my list.
That kind of anomaly is something that I would defer to you on if it came up in any other situation. Ansel, do you have any inkling as to what that could mean for him as a being? Like, why would he have that?
In my experience, and he just gestures to the shade.
Mm-hmm.
This is my experience, but there is only one shade.
My common isn't as good as my elvish. You say 4, do you mean the number, or...
Yes, the number. 3 plus 1.
Okay.
4 shadows.
Well, the Council Towers was on my plan, and as much as there are some private matters I must see to, I know where I go is risky.
Yes.
You're not facing the risk alone. I mean, we are all in this together. So we're not going to do one thing whilst you go and do another. Like, we're working together to pull this off. As far as I am aware, my part of this is to gain access to the king's body whilst the king is unguarded, unviewed, so that we can find out from him as much as possible about how he died. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what else is required, but I would say that does give us time to maneuver you into a position where you could slip out unseen. So that's to reach the room that you want to look in.
There's 2.
Mm-hmm.
The first voice, the arcane. I appreciate it'd be tricky to get us all there.
Yeah.
Yes, somewhat.
Then let us say this. I would appreciate the help. But we must see the circumstances that present ourselves. And although my first idea is a little unwelcoming, Silastor looks at the bag of holding. It is a temporary solution.
Here's the thing. I had a thought about the bag of holding. I have some undead servants now. A few. I have 4. 2 of which are not far off, vaguely sort of normal height and build and whatever skeletons, but if we were to kit the 2 of you out in pallbearer gownage, covering faces and whatever, for in the sort of standard plague masks that you would wear to deal with bodies and things as my assistants, and put 2 undead servants in the bag of holding that they don't need to breathe, so they can stay in there indefinitely, and then switch you out. The 2 of you could tootle off and explore the palace, exchanging robes with the undead servants in the room. So it was like you were still with me. They wouldn't be looking for you. Nothing would be amiss. What do you think?
I mean,
You seem confident.
I can hide a little. I'm not a complete amateur, but
Well, perhaps you and your servants, Ansel and I, one day, Bogram, your son will make a valuable ally. One day.
One day, maybe. He does seem to be learning, doesn't he? I just want him to be able to protect himself. For the time being.
I think we have a plan.
Okay. Well, outfits is the first thing, I suppose. So we put on the traditional mortician's outfits, which is the kind of leather over the top, and the hat, and the mask, and everything. So we're all...
Oh. Silastor will pull from the bag of holding the elixir of... He's already got the elixir of vision in his pocket.
Yep, there was also.
But he'll pass the elixir of hiding to Ansel.
ah,
Good stuff.
very good.
Just in case.
Great. Great idea.
Very wise.
And then I will load in to the bag of holding my 2 skellies.
That don't need to breathe, so they can just be in there for as long as you like.
Fellas. The 2 skeletons. I haven't named them yet. I've just got on my list of... I've got skellies and zombies, and I've got a tally underneath each one as to how many I've got, because I wanna build up lots.
Yes, well, I have the 2...
Not going to use them in combat until I have a small army.
I love it. I have the 2 of them, so I have them ready to go.
Cracking.
And funnily enough, they actually already bear the robes of the Lightbreakers. so they're kind of robed already. But I guess you can adorn them with your. I remember you fashioning Graves and Co. sort of like.
Yeah, well, that's it. At the minute, they won't be wearing.
And yeah.
They'll just be wearing their normal stuff at the moment when they put them in the bag, and Silaster and Ansel will be wearing the Graves and Co. gear that covers them completely, and then they'll swap clothes when we're in there.
Perfect.
And the Skellies will put that on.
Okay. So, just so I'm aware then, you're all going to go and speak to the king, or you're going to swap when you speak to the king, so you've not got an audience. Silaster and Ansel will go off to the council tower, while Bogram remains behind. Is that the plan, or do you all want to be present for the king?
So I think you guys will just be changing clothes whilst I question the king, getting that set up.
I thought we were.
Whilst there's no one in there.
It was sort of simultaneous.
Yeah,
So
kind of will be.
The king, and then we'll.
Yeah, so you change clothes, because I'll begin questioning the king as soon as the guards are out of the way. So as soon as they're not looking, we get the Skellies out, you guys swap clothes, and then once the questioning is done, you guys find a way to disappear off into the castle and do your thing. Stay hidden, go do your stuff.
So you're still present,
Whilst
seem to be present
I
doing
remain
your work. Gotcha.
in the chamber, doing my work on the king, and I've got 2 people in robes with me, so you look as if you're still there. No one's going to be looking for you. Nothing is amiss. And then you have a limited... I'm going to stay and do my job there for, I don't know, 1 hour, we'll say. You have a limited time frame to get back.
What we can also do is I can leave Cry with you, so Cry can warn me emotionally through our link that the time is running out. And if we get into trouble, Cry can warn you.
Just
and vice versa.
Give me a little nibble.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I don't actually know if I have what sort of links I have with my
the trick.
With trick. I'm gonna check.
It's probably the same.
I would imagine so, because it's a familiar, so it's an empathic link. But obviously, being a small devil, he's been able to talk for longer because he can naturally talk. But I don't know if he can teleport about or whatever. But yeah, basically that's the plan.
Okay. So Swiftstone will have given you instruction for when you were expecting in the castle. There are no surprises when it comes to a royal appointment. Everything is very much planned, and you receive notification by Rook that your arrival is now sought for. And upon arrival, you will be directed to the chamber of rest that you had visited once before. How long would you have said to Swiftstone that your procedure would take, Bogram? Within reason, obviously. And we'll see how much time was actually agreed upon.
So I know that the spell itself can last for 1 minute per level, but I'm just going to ask him some questions and then let go of the spell as soon as I've got my answers. So it's not going to be a 10-minute long conversation.
Okay.
But just to be safe for these guys getting in and blah, 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 with no guard, I would say half an hour.
Half an hour, okay.
I reckon, because I think what he's going to tell the guards is obviously it needs to hide the king's modesty, right? Yeah. Things need to be done to the body that no one should see barring their mortician. So the amount of time it would take to do those things, I don't know, in real life I'm not really an expert, but I would say maybe to do the gritty stuff where the king's got to be exposed, we'll say about half an hour is probably fair.
Yeah.
It gives us a chunk of time with no guard.
From the papers as well, there comes a little rolled up scroll that sort of falls out of the main letter. that has been sent to you by the Rook. Inside Silaster, Ansel, you find there are some rudimentary instructions of how to best approach the Council Tower. And it gives you sort of like clear instructions of where you'll be going and which tower it is. As a matter of fact, as you look out into the morning air, you can actually sort of identify the Council Tower. It's if you're looking at the castle dead on, the Council Tower would be on the very right-hand side of the castle, so it would actually be the most southern-facing tower. But yeah, some instructions of how to get to the tower when in the castle are provided, so you won't get lost. And so, with that, is there anything else you would like to do before we make our way there?
No, I'm set.
I think we're good.
Okay, right.
Already.
Let's do it. Ansel, you feel a definite spring in your step today. You feel like you can take on the world. The air feels fresher. The cries in the city more vivid. The smells of the street food being cooked more vivid. And yeah, you make your way. You are greeted at the castle. The main gate of the structure, guarded as it always is by the castle guard. These aren't the Dragon Guard. These are sort of the just the hardened backbone of the defensive force here. The Dragon Guard are more the specialist honor guard kind of types. And you present the seal, which shows that you're meant to be here. They've been asked to look for you, and with a reverent bow, remember, or rather a curt nod, probably from soldiers. Your position, Bolgrim, has always been one of deep respect. The last the last face arguably you see or are near in this world, perhaps it's a thing of reverence dealing with your kind, and it's far less of a welcome to Castle Valdenor experience. This is, no, you're here to do a job, let's go. You're straight in through the gates. You find yourself winding down that staircase once again. You feel the temperature chill even for this autumn day. It's even colder now. And then at last, you find yourselves in the Chamber of Rest.
Lovely stuff.
And they've not been added onto the map this time because at your bidding they will just go. But at this point, the Dragon Guard that still stand vigil by the king are there. And upon your arrival, they will each give a solemn salute to the king as they give up their vigil for the sake of this honor. And for the sake of this sort of hallowed moment, almost. And they file from the room. And suddenly their footsteps go from thunderous to quiet to nothing at all, as you're all alone in the Chamber of Rest.
And now we're on a time limit. So first, you guys will obviously switch clothes with Skellies.
Skellybubs.
With the Skellybubs.
Yeah, they tumble out of the bag of holding, clattering as a bunch of them, and then they sort of reform themselves, like putting themselves back together, like putting their fingers back on their hands and screwing their heads on top of their necks. On their necks, rather.
just it's amazing the difference. They're so bog standard compared to the ones that I summon.
Yeah.
The ones I summon could be called pretty. These guys just look so bog standard. It's just like
literally bog standard, bog room.
Yeah. And then basically I get to work.
Very good. So the skeletons take your places then, Silaster and Ansel. And now comes the crucial question. Who do we start with first? I'll leave you guys there, your tokens just on that page for the moment, just so we don't have to keep bringing you in and out, just in case you come back here. But for the time being, I'll just put you in the side there. Alright.
Why don't we roll?
That's what you took the words right out of my mouth, Michael.
It's almost like it's a dice rolling game.
Yes. So, we'll determine who goes first. So, let's say D6. 1, 2, 3. We'll begin with Bogram. 4, 5, 6. We'll go with Silaster and Ansel.
Who wants the honour?
Why don't you do it?
Yeah, you go ahead, Mike.
6.
Silaster and Ansel, very good. So, in that case, you, what do you do?
So I think I should probably...
You guys are leaving, ready to go out into the room. Obviously, the spell is being cast, and you can just see this kind of sacrilegious thing going on behind you. That's just like, oh dear. But it just drifts into the background of this magic, and you guys head off on your own business.
Amazing.
I think I should probably take the elixir of hiding, regardless, because I've only got 6 on my hide, I think.
So
7.
The same as well.
So let's hear Elixir Heidi. I don't have it in front of me. Mike, do you have the text to hand for the
You get a plus 10 to competence on hide.
There you go. Fantastic. Wow, that's great. And how long?
An hour.
An hour?
Wow, perfect. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Silaster's doing the same with the elixir of vision.
Very good.
Good plan.
Plus 10 to search.
So we're not going sort of like hiding in plain sight. Are you like full on sticking to the shadows, stealth moding it, or are you trying to sort of walk around as if you own the place? That kind of infiltration.
Shadows, I think.
Yeah, I think Silaster's usual way would be shadows, and I think Ansel is not your usual customer in these sort of hallways, so it makes more sense to
Okay, I love it very much.
slip into the shadows.
Okay. So, you begin your journey, and it begins by going up that spiral staircase that you've just come down. The way is lit with crackling torchlight, and you're going to make your way through the castle, which we're going to do with a number of checks. Hiding and stealth are obviously going to be at the forefront here, but depending on how those go, you may need to back those up with other skills when I ask, okay? So first of all, you're in the sort of the ground. You get to sort of ground level. So up from the subterranean levels of the castle, you're back in sort of like the main hall, okay? And you know that this is where the most footfall will be that you encounter. Servants coming and going, pages, scribes, members of the court, like coming to visit, all sorts. So arguably, this might be the trickiest. Please make your stealth checks if going to the shadow is your best. We'll do a hide first, because the noise won't be too bad in the busy castle around here.
23.
22.
So what is it like as you're sort of like moving through like a throng of people moving backwards and forwards, like through the main hall and the entrance hall and in the lower chambers of the castle? Like, what are you doing? Are you describe it?
But it's not urban hiding where it's like into a crowd, stick with the crowd. It's completely, as far as Silaster's going, finding a moment, waiting behind something, and very quickly seizing a moment to walk maybe between as two people are passing, just to like move between them. It's sticking to the wall, and Silaster and Ansel talking just through gestures and
Okay, that's great. Anything to add to that, Ansel?
Yeah, so I think Ansel will be mainly following Silaster's lead, but he'll be making use of his living shadow friend to conceal himself. So sort of having the shade stand over him in the same pose, so it sort of covers his movements in shadows and disguises him.
yeah, Silaster's using his Child of Shadows as well to cloak himself in it.
Very good. Okay, so you're sort of stealing away through this area of the castle, and then you come to a you know that there is a broad set of stairs where the lords and the king himself in these days would make their way through, sort of like the central citadel, the central part of the castle. But these instructions reliably inform you of other staircases that exist in the place that are used by those that work here, those that are meant to not be seen and not be heard, the servants, that kind of thing. So you're aiming for sort of that kind of ascent up the castle. That's great. I would like you all to make another hide check for me, please. And depending on how it goes, we will see.
Slightly better.
Okay.
Slightly better as well.
Exactly.
He's just copying Silaster.
Yeah. Every footstep. I'm doing an opposed roll here. As you're going up the stairs, there is as I mentioned, there are a number of servants. You estimate that these individuals are coming back to the kitchens. They carry a number of dirtied plates and bowls. Clearly, this is a servant's task of bringing used crockery back down from the lofty halls back to where the kitchens are. You estimate somewhere below. They're walking right past you. How is it that you both duet in perfect unison around them on a staircase?
I imagine Silaster, as they're coming down, would start moving up the wall with his Dance of the Spider and actually start climbing up the wall over the ceiling and back down again. Just using the shadows to find footholds and grips.
Lovely.
And I would imagine Ansel would probably use some trick of the shade to almost appear to merge with the wall, as the shade shadow is somehow there for a moment.
I think Ansel seeing Silaster climb up the wall and onto the ceiling just sort of sighs. And like, I can't follow that. Yeah, and exactly as you say.
Great.
Just sort of hides a little way for them to go. And then...
And they walk past, and they're sort of like in a world of their own. They're sort of like muttering back and forth. And been working extra hard to make sure that the Prince Randon's chambers are prepared and the sheets aren't back from the washing yet, and there's all blah, blah, blah. So you overhear a rumour with that as well, that preparations are being made for the arrival of Prince Randon as well.
Interesting.
One last one, please. Depending on how it goes, we'll once again determine the course of what's happening here.
22.
Oh God, 20. They're so in sync, though.
They are, very much so. There is, you're moving through a corridor and you've been going up some steps for some time. You're now making your way through narrow passages to get to the south-facing side of the castle. And as you are moving through a particularly narrow chamber, a castle guard comes round the corner at the last minute and spots like a glimpse of something and stops on his patrol and then looks back. It looks like he's going to investigate the area that you were in. So I ask you, what skill are you going to use to prevent him from discovering you, or prevent him from approaching and investigating further? I'll ask Ansel this time, first of all.
Can I use my baleful utterance to cause something to explode down the corridor away from us?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, there's a number of suits of armor.
A glass or...
There's a vase. Yeah, there's a window.
Vase, perfect.
Vase, okay. So that you can just make happen, right?
I say a word and...
Amazing. So because you're using this to veil your escape, I'll allow you to re-roll your high checks then in that case, as there's a mighty blast and the guard spins around like in fright and horror.
31.
23, still not great.
Still far better than the perception of the distracted guard. Exactly what was required. Looking around, you can see the fear in the eyes of someone who is the only person present when something expensive breaks.
Oh no, how expensive was that vase?
Oh my god, what am I going to tell my superiors? Everyone knows who's guarding where at all times in a castle like this. What am I going to say? And you watch him like confused and looking around in horror, whipping around, and then that's fantastic. That is the skill challenge complete. Congratulations, as you whip round another staircase and you find yourself winding up higher and higher and higher into the council tower.
I would say, Ansel, you would have noticed Silaster had created a blade of shadow, and as you'd done that, removed it. He was about to do it, and it was...
Perfect. So what I think would be quite nice, we're going to do a lot of jumping backwards and forwards. Now, for the purposes of the stream, I'm just going to move all of us to where we are. So you'll see what's happening on each other's screen, alright? But it's so everyone can see it, basically. So we'll remain here for the time being as... Bogram, we cut back to you, and Silaster and Ansel have just whipped around the corner, vanished in the blinking of an eye into the shadows, and you are stood there alone with all but 2 skeletons and the body of King Dectus himself.
So I have... in sort of preparation, I've laid out my tools and everything's all set, ready to do the embalming, which obviously I'm going to have to do anyway when I'm done with this bit, because they're expecting that. But the spell itself actually has a casting time of 10 minutes.
Yes,
so I'm going to cut this very fine.
Very much
so as they're leaving, I'm casting and I'm speaking in Infernal, and I'm just sort of meditating over the body and using magic to bring this sort of spark of consciousness back into the body. And after the sort of 10 minutes is up, I sort of lean back with one hand still over, as the spell is cast, and the body gains a sort of semi-consciousness again.
A wispy, crackling gasp just jolts the body of the king. Now, the spell description is really rather cool. We won't read it all, but to suffice to say that this is effectively you going to be communing with an impression left upon the king's body.
Yeah.
And that impression is raspy and harrowing to behold, Bogrim. Is this the first time you've ever done Speak with Dead as a character?
No, I did it once.
Have you done it before?
I did it once in the village with the.
So you
it
did.
was just before the water elemental attacked us.
Yes, so you did. My goodness me, in the village of Thanley. Fantastic. Yes, so...
That was the first time he'd ever cast it, and this is the second. So he has got slightly better at it. I would imagine it's a bit less messy this time. Like,
well, you would have got slightly better at it, because, what is it? You get one question per 2 caster levels, giving you... How many? That 4. Would be 4 questions.
We always round down, so it'll be 4 questions.
So I'm just putting it out there so everyone knows then we have 4 questions for the king. And his face begins to twist to try and comprehend how it is here, how this husk is perceiving the world around it, and with grey, weary eyes looks around, and then they snap to you, Bogrim, as a connection is made.
We try to not make a complete mess of this. Anyone that's seen the movie recently will appreciate this spell, I think, for what it is.
It will answer any question.
Anything, yeah, absolutely.
To the best of its ability, it will answer to what it can.
I think that Bogrim sort of bows his head almost in reverence, but isn't going to waste any time on sort of platitudes or whatever. Because he also, I mean, he does understand his magic, and he realizes that this is not the king. This is not the spirit of the king or whatever. This is his magic creating this sort of fake version of the king with his memories. So he's not gonna pay it any undue respects. He's just gonna go straight into the questions. And the first question that he is going to ask is, what did you see and hear in your dying moments?
It's the body gives another rasp, and it says, "Old am I, and in my twilight years I have not slept easily. I was in my bed. It has been getting to the point that I was seeing things due to the lack of rest. It was prescribed by Zarya that I should have essence of Mali burned as an incense to ease me to slumber. I awoke, and I found the room once filled with the sweet odour of fey flowers, now turned to acrid, acidic smoke. Some foul black essence surrounding my bedchamber. I tried to reach for the burning flask at my bedside, and it was scorching to the touch. You see the body's fingers sort of like ripple almost reflexively. Some kind of muscle memory there. You see the scorch mark, magical scorch mark on that ring.
Yeah.
I closed my eyes, and that is all I saw.
Okay. Prescribed by Malia.
Sorry, Marley is the fey flower that was being burned as an essence to set him to sleep.
Oh.
Zarya.
Essence.
Arcane
Zarya
is a name that you recognise. No, it's okay. Lots of names. Arcane Zarya, the arcane posted to the city of Valdonor and Castle Valdonor.
Cool. So she prescribed it. That is suspicious.
Do you have like apothecary rolls or any alchemy or anything like that to roll for a knowledge check, Bogram?
I do not have alchemy. No, alchemy is a craft skill, but I've never chosen it, so I don't think it's one that he has. No, I just have Arcana and Religion. They're the only two I've got.
You can give me Arcana, but it won't be for the same thing. But you can give me a knowledge Arcana.
Yeah, I think my thought process, the things I'm sort of considering at this point, is what kind of burning, smoke, and burning and whatever could kill somebody but leave very little in the way of actual burning. Obviously, like chemical burning or some sort of magical burning that wouldn't leave a mark. That's what he's trying to do. So,
knowledge Arcana.
It's only 15.
The nature of the thing eludes you. You're not sure. Like, and the old adage, "There's no smoke without fire," comes to mind. But the king did not mention fire.
No, he didn't. He mentioned burning, and he mentioned smoke. He didn't mention fire. But then I do know of burnings. But again, they're like there's acid mist, something like that. You know, there's a type of smoke that burns, but again, it's acidic, so it still does damage. So it would still melt everything. It's okay. So that's one question.
One question. We're gonna do one more, and then we'll jump back. So make it a good one.
I don't know if it's a good one, really, but it's just one that I have to ask because sometimes kings keep these things close to their chest, depending on who they are. So my second question is, were you aware of any threats to your life?
Yes.
Perhaps didn't phrase that particularly well. He was aware. He told me a whole tale the first time. Significantly less chatty on the second question.
No. I am joking. I am joking.
No. I didn't. I didn't. Go
I am
into
joking.
It
Don't worry. I spent many evenings in council concerned not only for myself, but for the fate of my kingdom, from which I have reigned over for 70 years. I wish to determine the cause of the sudden rise in mortality. For what affects one citizen in Valdonor surely affects the other. My responsibility as a king, as a ruler, is to protect Arcane Zarya. First Voice Apophis. The lords and ladies of the council were present. That of House Pride, House Casto, House Muscle, and House Skane. Pride, Casto, Muscle, Skane. Arcane Zarya urged that there is a magical force that is growing within the city. And if that force grows within my city and threatens it, it threatens me. She was urging for further investigation, but counseling not to act rashly, for to move against this power could see it turned fully against the people of the city. Would that not break my oath as king, put the lives of my citizens in danger? Apophis urged the case that mortality among the citizenry rises and falls like the waves of the Silver Sea. He could point to 6 instances in the history of our realm where the death rate has been so high in the last 400 years. I felt a darkness encroaching upon this kingdom. And I felt its embrace the night I breathed my last. And as he utters these words, we move back to Silaster and Ansel.
Damn.
Choices.
I just realised I should bring... I have Obsidian's character there, just in case, so I will make him visible so you can still see things going on there, Matt. So bear with me 1 second whilst I do that.
Thank you.
There you go. So Obsidian isn't there, but his token is, just so Matt can see what's going on. There we go.
Obsidian?
I am haunting you.
So as you arrive at the top of this spiral staircase that you have taken that leads up the council tower, you realise that you are in like a vast part of this structure. It is one of the biggest towers of the castle, and it would appear, are at the very centre of it. There are doors that are at the end of a 3-point corridor here, and 2 that stand either side directly ahead, as you can see on the map. There doesn't appear to be anyone guarding the top of the stairs. Silaster, Ansel, what do you do?
Pick a door.
Can I use my magic vision to check that none of the doors are magically trapped? Or have a magical effect on them? Obviously, I don't know necessarily if it's a trap, but...
Yeah, certainly. So, you can just see that, can't you? You don't have to do a check or anything, do you?
I can see if they're magical. If I want to know more information, I have to look at them longer, but yeah.
I thought so. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, let's see. Okay, the one on the left-hand side, up the passageway directly ahead, that goes up, that one appears to have magic gleaming upon it. To determine what kind would require a spellcraft check.
Yeah, I'll while we're trying to decide, I'll try that. 29. Wow.
Wow. Okay. Okay. You can tell that there is a powerful abjuration spell upon the door, Ansel. Abjuration, with that spellcraft check, I mean, you'd know anyway, would be to do with wards and guarding kind of magic.
Do I get any sense that I could open that door without it going off somehow?
You
I guess
know.
it depends what sort of thing is it. If it's a magical device, potentially I could use my skills, but if it's not...
Are you openly discussing this with Silaster, so Silaster is aware of this too?
Very quietly, yes.
Very well. You may make either a wisdom roll or a roll with your level attached, so +9. It's probably better than a wisdom roll, right? I'd say.
Yeah, my wisdom's pretty shite.
You can make a roll with your level as the modifier.
Oh.
To your mind, no, that's just magically protected. That is magically protected. You don't know. You might have something on your person that might help that. You don't know. You don't know.
Okay. Let's avoid that one for now, then.
This one ahead, then.
Yeah, very well. So you move to that one, which is directly ahead. I don't believe it to be locked. As in locked in the game, sorry. You don't know whether it's locked actually in the situation.
I'm going to do a listen check at the door.
Yeah. Oh,
21.
Wow, yeah, great. You don't really hear anything coming from beyond. A clean silence.
Shall we try the door? See if it is locked.
Silaster will go to open the door.
Okay. I believe you'll be able to click that.
I would if I had the right button pressed. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Immediately, you open the door, you see a plush rug rolled out in front of you, 2 large pillars, and towering windows. You can see the one directly in front of you opens to a great balcony that oversees the southern side of the defences of the castle. The council tower basically doesn't... This side of it at least doesn't reside over the city, but a sheer drop onto one of the cliffs on which the castle is built upon. That's what you see from just standing there at this point.
Who's that? I can see through the window.
Oh, okay. So you sort of like can peer, and you see that way, way, way down beneath the balcony, there is a wall there that you imagine is manned. So it would appear that the wall beneath the balcony that you can see is manned by the garrison of the castle. So that isn't, I should have said, that isn't actually on your level, that is below. It'll be clearer when you see the whole thing.
Silaster will move silently inside. 27.
27. You walk into a rather resplendent bedroom. Your footsteps soft as falling snow. There is no sign of anyone inside, but this is a lavish chamber. and clearly the quarters of, well, an individual of a high standing indeed within the council tower.
I assume nobody's in there.
Not that I can see.
You don't see anyone in the chamber. You see like a large four-poster bed, bookcases, a desk. Yeah, Ansel, you can go in as well.
You too, Obsidian.
I could do a quick glance around the room with magic vision.
Yeah, you don't really sense anything magical in here.
Good.
Just the magic of wealth. But yeah, like I say, there's desks, there's drawers, bookcases, and that lavish balcony. Below, if you were to look out the windows, you would see like a dizzying drop. Those buildings there are like large buildings, but to this scale, obviously, aren't. They look like that. You're very high up. All that.
Can I do a search check on the drawer or the desk that I seem to be at?
Yeah, so you can do a search check on the desk, but as you attempt to open the desk to begin searching it, there's a dunk. It's locked.
If we get desperate, I do have something for that.
As do I, as Silaster gets his
Something that won't leave a trace.
Well,
Yes, no?
I wouldn't say no.
Okay, I will use the scroll of knock that we have.
Isn't it?
We have both.
Oh,
But I'll use the scroll because then that's gone and we only have the one to worry
you
about.
have the scroll and you have a wand. So actually, now that you've thought of that yourself, that roll earlier as well was for me to give you the hint that you have stuff on your possession. You have the wand of knock, but you already know that then, so that's fine. So yeah, you bring forth the scroll of knock in that case, which allows you to bypass many different kinds of locks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look it up just so I can read the spell description. So the knock spell opens stuck, barred, locked, held, or arcane locked doors. It opens secret doors as well as locked or trick opening boxes or chests. And it works on one door, box, or chest with an area up to 10 square feet per level. So a desk is no trouble at all. You use the scroll then, Ansel?
Yeah, I will need to. I'll need to trick the scroll before I can use it. But
yeah, well, give us a trick of the scroll then, and you can describe what it looks like if you're successful.
So I have to do intelligence score first of all. I have to beat 14.
Okay.
So this is the bit that I could fail.
Okay.
But I think it doesn't go off if I can't read it. So, so I needed 14. So that's 19. So that's good.
Fantastic.
And then I need to decipher it, for which I would need to do a use magic device, and I need to reach 27. I can take 10 on that, and my use magic device bonus on scrolls is 18. So I automatically pass that. Amazing. And I then need a use magic device to use the scroll as well, which I would only need 22 on, so I can pass that without any difficulty.
Incredible.
So I think normally scrolls usage, people unroll them and then read them out. I think Ansel, instead of reading from the scroll, talks to the scroll and without unrolling it, whispers into into the paper some sort of dark sounding maybe threats. And then unrolls the scroll and just points it at the desk.
I love that so much.
Unleashing the magic within.
And the magic, coerced as it is, echoes onto the desk, and you hear the lock jolt open with a satisfying click. You're now free to open it. Yeah, you can do a search check on the thing, Celesta. Did you already make the check?
Not yet.
Okay, give it a search. And remember your vision and thing as it boosted it.
Yeah, I have. 27.
Fantastic. So yeah, the elixir of vision has just enhanced your gaze, and you're sort of like looking, and you see immediately there's a hidden compartment in this desk. Without even looking, you see, there's just basic sort of papers in here, and then you unravel something, which I will just read here. Let's see. I'm just trying to find it. Bear with me. Sorry. There is a small key that glimmers with a magical power. There is also a list of individuals invited to the funeral of King Dectus. The writing is fresh. It has not yet been sealed, however. And it says, pertaining to my notes made earlier, these are who need to be watched for and attended to. The very best impressions must be made upon these folk. And there are a number of names on there, which I will just bring up. Bear with. I'll get back to you on that list of names rather than because it is in my doc and I don't want to just make them up because I do have them, but I haven't got them in here currently, and I will find them later. But there is a list of names of people being invited to the into the funeral.
Very briefly,
yes.
Is there a list of maybe where they would be going or where they'd be looked after?
No, but you can tell from how this is written that this is alluded to further work that has gone on elsewhere. So that answer will likely be found somewhere else.
Got it.
There's also roll for me, please. Let's see. Roll a D6 and a D100 for me, please.
5. 49.
I'll say 549 gold pieces can be found inside.
Ooh.
Silas will take a moment to read the names.
Yeah, I really wish
and study it.
Yeah.
And then he'll put it back.
Great. Okay.
Looking at the gold wistfully.
What about, was there a magic key in there, did you say?
Yeah, a small magic key that glimmers sort of in from the secret compartment of this that Silas found.
That could be useful.
If we find where it goes, we should return it.
Agreed.
But for now... Well, taking the key out, closing everything else.
Very good. Yeah, you take the key, you close everything else.
Where to?
Have we checked the whole room, or...?
With your search check, you note that there is quite an extensive personal library here. There's a lot of clues to point that this is the room of Apophis, the first voice. But of anything like of relevance to your mission or to anything of value, you pretty much found it immediately. Honed in, like,
what about to any personal drama of Apophis?
Yes. There's a door that
his bed is a double bed, right? Does it look like it's been slept on both sides or just one side?
Oh,
is it a lonely life?
That's a great observation. You can give me a role that you could argue is relevant to help better your.
Is there a gimp outfit in? That's what we want to know.
Oh god!
A number of curious ornaments and tools that can be found under the bed.
I guess I would say gather information might be a good. Is that more of a?
It's a charisma
rumors
thing.
And
yeah, so that means you like speaking to people.
Okay.
I'll just say do either a spot or a search. Let's keep it simple.
Okay. My spot and search is shit.
I'll do a survival.
3. A survival in the bedroom.
Yeah. How's he been using the space?
Yeah.
21. That's all right.
And so you can tell that this has definitely more often slept in alone, but not always.
Interesting.
Irregular company. Perhaps. You don't know. It's hard to say just looking at a bed.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a
Is
door.
there like a spare toothbrush in in one of the cupboards? It's obviously not the main toothbrush and it's not kept out, but sometimes it's.
Yeah, there's different clothing in there, and all clearly not his. Shall we say? That's a good clue to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a door either side, that's sort of mirrored on either side of the room, that you've yet to check, and of course is back the way you came. Obviously out there's a number of windows that open to the staggering drop below.
Those locked doors.
The one closest to us, perhaps, as we're over here anyway.
Yeah, I'll listen at this door.
Yeah, give us a listen check.
15.
You hear the slight sound of something jingling, maybe, but something metallic almost, but you're not entirely sure.
Is it a leather room with some dangling? How do you want me to find out?
I'll open the door.
Oh, fuck.
The jingling was that of a full, heavy plate of a castle guard that, as you open the door, turns to look at you and says, "Hey, halt!" And that is when we'll go to break. So for those of you who are watching live, thank you ever so much for joining us. And of course, for those joining us after the fact as well, if you like this video, give us a like. Want to see more like it? Give us a subscribe. We can take a short break. And we'll be right back to learn what happens when one alerts the castle guard of their illegal presence. We'll be right back. And we have returned. And we are going to begin by asking Silaster and Ansel to roll initiative.
When I need it. 27.
5.
Oh no, Ansel, oh no.
Ansel just freezes. Don't look at us.
Don't look at me! The castle guard looks at you in surprise and immediately starts fumbling for a long sword on his blade. But Silaster, you go first.
Silaster drops into his assassin stance. Technically, acting first, I catch him flat-footed.
Yes, you absolutely do.
I think it's going to be a garrote. As Silaster immediately just goes, throwing out a strand of shadow.
Oh my word.
So it is, yep. 23 to touch.
23 to touch is a hit, unsurprisingly.
That is... Okay. Bear with... Oh! 44 points of damage.
He goes, "Hey you, halt!" and goes for his sword, like fumbling, desperately trying to unsheath the steel. But then you immediately kill him. What does it look like? Just a castle guard, man. Like, what do you expect? 44 HP? Jesus.
Silaster's reflexes and instincts are just... It goes to his training and it's like, got to silence him. So he immediately goes for the garrote.
Yes.
It worked well last time. And there's a moment where he just, as he's reaching for the sword, then he reaches for his throat.
Oh my word.
And then Silaster just holds it just for a bit. As Ansel hasn't reacted yet, but Silaster very quickly off the mark.
And he collapses
him to death
to the ground with a heavy crash, his armour
Poor
clattering on the ground.
sod. Just doing his job. Just... You monster.
We need to hide the body.
Give me a listen check.
Monster.
Oh, shit.
13.
20.
You hear the sound of this door open behind you, the opposite side, and you see the shoulder, Ansel, of another guard coming to investigate the clattering with a listen check of 19 on the die. He's like, oh, the ears of a fox, this castle guard. Here's the clattering of armour from there. But he has spent his turn coming to that door and opening it. will remain in initiative because of the situation. He's dead, so Ansel, it's your turn.
Well, let's go through this door and shut it behind us.
Yeah, that if you want to, by all means, that is yeah, I mean, we'll keep it in initiative because like it isn't going to be Silaster. Silaster won't be able to do that because it isn't his turn. But then again, I haven't rolled initiative for him yet, so all right, Silaster, if you want to follow along with the plan with Ansel, then I will give you a high check to zip inside and close the door, and a move silently as well. But Ansel, you can close the door if you think you can do it more quietly. It's up to you.
I imagine I can't do it more quietly.
Hide 24. Critical success 38 on move silently.
Yeah, so the I'm not saying he was lucky, but the castle guard doesn't get anywhere near as good as that last roll. So you don't imagine he's heard or seen you. You can pretty much assume that he hasn't as he enters the room, and you, Silaster, are able to zip in there and close the door.
Do we have the bag of holding?
That's my thinking.
Oh God!
We could take him to the necro cave.
Yeah, well, we have to get rid of the body at this stage, don't we? So
Silaster has had it before, but
yeah,
we're still in initiative because you don't know what's going on with him at the moment.
So we've got to shove him into the bag. Like, we just it has to go in the bag.
So, depending on how well you roll, I'm not going to like prevent you from doing that. You will be able to put the man in the bag of holding. How efficiently you do it, however, with a man in full plate, not a full plate, sorry, he's in half plate, but still heavy. You can give me a roll that you argue you'd be able to use to best effect, lest I ask for just a straight strength check, which you know, it could be done with finesse. You don't necessarily
we're not going to be very good at
strength. I'll allow you to grapple the body. You can use your grapple check, sort of like, because you're sort of like manhandling. I'll allow you to do a straight grapple check.
Yeah.
In that case, yeah. I think that's fair. You both can do it, and we'll combine it.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. Both of you are trying desperately to do this quickly, so
20.
25.
yeah, more than enough.
My grapple higher than yours.
What is it like
my
then,
strength is-
Ansel? Because you got the higher roll. What is it like as maybe Silaster sort of like gets the bag ready and like helps hoist him up? What is it like as you're the one that does the lifting of the man into the bag? Like what's it like?
I think Silaster's gone into like professional mode, and he's like, right, we unroll the bag, I lift, and then Ansel's just like, nope. Just yeets it in there.
Like the body of the man.
He's just going.
You hear him clatter into all the items in the bag, like it's pretty hefty. But then he vanishes into the dimension of its own, and there he goes. Can you give me a listen check, please?
15.
15.
You know, on the next turn, the footsteps that you just heard will arrive at that door and probably have a chance to go through it with that listen check.
What's this item here? Is it an item? Is it a...
That's a very good question. That is a large pillar, and it doesn't seem to be any ordinary kind of pillar. With your magical gaze still active, I imagine, you will see that there is some kind of trace magical effect upon it.
Don't have time to look at that more, though, really.
Not really, no.
It's very interesting, though. We should go into the next room and hide. The only thing is, I can't see in the distance there's another guard in that room. But I don't see any further choice other than going through there. What do you think?
Agreed.
What can we see in there through this little doorway?
Yeah, so you're looking through there and you see that there is a vast room. It is the same size as the room, the bedroom. Obviously, being a tower, it's all fairly symmetrical size rooms on either side. This one, however, appears to be filled with a number of strange glass cabinets, each displaying mysterious-looking items within. Some rested upon lush red cushions, others strange weapons and the like. There's also appears to be a ancient stone altar inside as well. It looks for the most part like a gallery almost.
Okay, well, that seems like a good place to hide. Let's go through there.
Yep, you can rush in, and you're quite right, there is a guard presence within. As you rush inside, there are two guards that stand vigil on the far end of the room. You can give me a hide check, and a move silently, please, to
not move silently.
Disappear into the room.
.22 hide.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, 19 hide.
Oh.
But 38 move silently.
My move silently is not. Oh god. It's rolling. Come on.
Oh, yours hasn't come through.
No, it's still rolling. Give it a moment.
That's all right.
It's just trying to make me more tense.
Yeah, it's doing a good job.
Maybe if I roll another die, it'll...
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm rolling a blank dice that's not doing anything to try and force it through, so ignore the
that's fine.
normal. I should have just done a d6 or something. No, that's not worked at all.
That's weird. Mike, do you want to roll a die quickly just to see if it's working?
Add. Oh, you could do it for me.
What's the number?
My move silently is 2. It's +2. Oh, there it is. 12. Oh, good.
Okay, that was the move silently. And did you get hide?
Yeah, my hide was 22.
They see me, they hear you.
Yeah. But so far, but one of them is completely oblivious. The other, definitely hears something, but doesn't see. So we'll say, "Do you hear that?" to his apprentices. No. What? You're dreaming again. I'm not. With me. And they begin to move up the room.
What sort of stone altar? Not to get overly distracted.
You can give me a... Give me a knowledge arcana.
I was hoping you'd say arcana. It's my preferred knowledge. 19.
These are altars of the dragon. They are the remnant of a long forgotten tradition of those ruled over by dragons would bring gifts of great worth to these altars to offer up to the draconic powers of the world. This is one such altar. Another stands very similar, far away. Obviously, painstakingly moved here up this very tall tower.
Cool.
So you both rush in there, and the guards begin to move, and they will probably...
Keep going, guys. I'll be 2 seconds. The dog needs to wee.
All good, mate. They move to there. I'm going to roll their initiative just to see how they're... Oh, God. Okay, we're back to the top of the round, Silaster.
Okay. Silaster will, as a swift action, use his Cloak of Deception.
Yep.
So he's now invisible. And then...
Yep.
Okay. Double movement, but bear with me. 5, 10, 15, 20. I want to do this. Can I move silently? I should have asked.
Yes,
first.
you can. Yes.
27.
They made their checks for hide, and that exceeds for listen. Sorry, and that exceeds both anyway, so that's fine.
Great. 25, 30. Now, as a double movement, my second movement, I want to collide with and open the door that's here.
Yeah, that's going to make noise. You're aware of this.
That's deliberately the point.
Yeah, absolutely. You can open the door then in that case. It will cost nothing to do.
So I collide with the door. So 5.
You're back where you started.
Yep. Mm-hmm. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and I want to perform a hide. Would you give me a hide check at the end of that? Or just like a drop prone or something?
So that was a double movement.
Yeah.
As well as you going invisible in the same turn, yeah?
That's swift.
That's swift. I'll say you can go prone, and it will just be your base hide, I think. What's your base hide thing that you add to your hide? 18. Okay.
Throws himself to the ground.
So you just go to the ground, and your just innate hiding ability will be what they have to roll against if they spot you.
But I'm hoping if they hear the door, they'll leave the room.
Yes, well, we'll get through all of that on their turn. We are now on Ansel, because simultaneously, what does Ansel do at this moment?
I don't have anything I can do.
You can hear the footsteps
I might
approaching from behind you. That hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Yeah, that certainly is something. Do the windows look like they open?
Yeah, they definitely look like they open. Sure.
Can I delay until the guards turn around, and then I'd like to make a break for a window?
Okay, so in that case, then you delay, and first of all, the door behind you opens.
Fuck.
As this guy goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, opens the door, 30. That was his movement. He wouldn't be able to spot you just directly looking there, so he's heard the noise here. So he will investigate there, I think, but he will get a listen check to see if he heard the collision of that door that you made, Silaster. I think that's fair to say. No, oblivious. So he's just like, huh? But you hear him go through there, Ansel, so you're aware he's there as you delay past his turn. These two continue on in their pursuit until they hear the boom of the door, and then they're both going to whirl around and see if they can spot Silaster with a DC 18 spot check. First one, no. Second one, no. So they whirl around like as this like slam of the door, and they look and Silaster, like that second you dip behind the cabinets.
I mean, I am still invisible.
And you're invisible. That's fine. Yeah.
For the moment.
And they
For
will,
now.
I guess they will just, go, hey, who's there? And like, I guess they'll move to secure the door. I don't want to like make them stupid, but like they've just seen that door swing open. They're gonna. That's the most obvious thing they've seen. So I think. Yeah, he's just gonna rush and look out there, and he'll go and support him. I think that's fair. That is the end of the round. You've delayed until the end of the round, Ansel. So
Yeah, I'll make a break for that window and try and climb out it and shut it behind me.
Oh my God. Okay, you rush to the window. Do you want to see if it's open?
I'd love to.
I think you can give it a click.
It's open!
It's open! Hooray! You open the window, and are you just going out? Give us a climb check, if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess I will. I will also activate my long arms and use them because I get a bonus on climb. Because otherwise it'd be a straight roll. So, it's already a stupid thing to do, but that's particularly...
For the benefit of others, then, you can describe it now. What is it like as your arms elongate? Well, maybe do the roll first. Let's find out.
Yeah, let's... 24!
Amazing. You're out of that window and you're anywhere you want outside of it, basically. What is it like as you use your new power?
So as he puts his hands on the window, he pulls it up, and then if you were to watch, although hopefully nobody is, it'd look for a second like he is putting his hands on the windowsill, but at that point his hands suddenly grow an extra joint in them as they elongate, and they go round the window and they pull him through. As he like dangles now outside. Can I then pull the window shut? I can't actually get outside.
You can, but as you do... Oh, do you need me to move you? Oh, there we go. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I needed to not have the shade with me.
You can absolutely do that. You can absolutely use the rest of your movement to close the window as well. No problem. However, you do hear a yell. What? As you've rushed through past this open doorway, this guard up here who had entered this chamber up there caught a glimmer of you. What? And he knows something's not right. Like, he's basically on alert status right now. But he has already acted, and because you delayed, your initiative in this will now go to the end of the round. Okay.
So I'm just trying to get the shade out of the wall.
Oh, it's all right. I'll get him. There he is.
Thank you.
That was Ansel's turn. We are back to the top of the round. Silaster, you've heard a shout go up from beyond, and the two guards are now looking down that corridor, now wheel around and stare up the other end of the corridor. They're completely perplexed by what's going on. Completely baffled by the exchange of movements here. What to do?
Well, Silaster knows this has gone a little bit south, but if we can get any information before bailing, that's going to be good. So he's going to make a hide. He's quickly crawling across the floor. So I move silently and hide check to get to that door.
Okay.
Hide 25, 22 move silent.
Okay. I'll do it on there. 25 and 22. I'll just make a note of that so I remember. And 22. So when it's their turn. Okay, so you move over there. You can get to the door. You can open the door for free if it's open.
It is.
You see before you another vast chamber. This one looks more studious but equally resplendent. A long table at the head of a vast window, a balcony overlooking the city.
Silaster crawls in. Oh God, he's just seen something and is going to close the door behind him.
You rush
He's
in,
lying prone.
close the door, and you see before you, at the head of a long table covered with maps and documents, you see a familiar figure. First Voice Apophis, in the chamber of the First Voice, is standing in there. Let's see. That was a 25 for hide, wasn't it?
25 hide.
25 hide.
22 move silently.
Doesn't seem to hear or spot you. Is rather absorbed in his own affairs, it seems, at this point. That was a movement. You've done a hide. Anything else? But a swift or anything like that?
Just looking.
Do you have more movements left or anything?
I'm not going to use the movement, but I will drop. No, I am it. No, I haven't actually. I'm going to drop into Child of Shadow.
Okay.
There is something of Child of Shadow I've not used yet, which you can actually hide in, like, against a wall. As if there wasn't a normal place to hide, I could use it to hide against a wall. It's almost like hide in plain sight.
Amazing. Okay. Right. So that's what you're doing then. You're sort of vanishing into a shadow of that wall there.
Yeah, but I'm very low to the floor next to the pillar.
We are back to the top, and sorry, we are at the top. Sorry, Ansel, you delayed, so your turn now comes later. So now we're on to these guys. The one that saw the flash of rushes through the door and will shout to his comrades, "Did you see that?" As the guards at the open door down there say, "Did you hear that?" To him.
Kind of really hoping that they just start to think it's each other.
Yeah, I mean, and they
like banging around.
I think that's a genuine cause because he's not really seen this one hasn't seen any confirmation of like any enemy. These two haven't either. They've just heard a lot of weird noises going on and flashes just outside of the periphery. So they begin just shouting at each other about what's been happening. And I think that will pretty much take up their turns, I think, as they just shout at each other across this open room. We move to the end of the round then, which is Ansel. You are hanging on with your elongated arms, and the shade kind of like looks at you and then looks down, and you can't help but realise that the ridiculous that is below you is absurd. Not only do you have the council tower that drops down, but you note that because you're on the very southern side of the city, you have the cliff on which that this tower is built on as well beneath you. So tower, cliff, very, very high up. What do you do? Don't fall.
I turn to the shade and go, "Yes, I know." And then I start looking at my things.
You see that there's a balcony,
none of which are any good.
Left, that juts out just as it had done on the other.
Oh, is that a balcony?
Yeah, so that's another balcony that's here.
Oh, fantastic. I'll try and make my way over to that.
Yeah, by all means. If you'd like to do a further climb check then, that's well within half your movement to climb and then to be able to do something else. Because you move at half.
18?
Yeah, more than enough. You're able to scramble over to the balcony, so you can put yourself on that square there of the balcony.
That one.
Yep, that one there. Yep, and the shade will accompany you, so he'll just sit here. There you go. Yeah, that was only half. Sorry, to use half your movement to do full movement of climbing. So that was a movement. You have an action and a swift or a free.
I think anything else that I would do at this point would only draw more attention to me.
Okay.
So I will just sort of try and hide from view from any windows or anything like that. I don't think I can hide if somebody comes out here, but if they look through a window, I can be, crouched or something to try and reduce my.
To spot you from where you are right now, but yeah, if they come to investigate the balcony, we'll get to that. In that case, then you can just wait and, or you can ready yourself. So if you need to react to do something like ready an attack or something or anything like that, or a movement or whatever you want. Okay. We're back to the top then. Silaster, you vanish into the shadows and you see first voice at Apophis poring over details and documents. He appears to be sort of like in a world of his own, moving from place to place, scribbling something down on his parchment. It appears to be a busy man. You can only assume that this is the council chamber that gives the council its tower its name. Though no council is assembled, only the first voice.
Okay. Free action. Potion of invisibility.
Nice. Whoom, as a free action, you vanish.
How long does that last? It's minutes per level, but it's a potion.
What level of the spell is it?
Invisibility.
Invisibility is level 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll say 3. 3 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah, fine.
Yep.
Then as a standard action, to take another potion, I'm going to quaff a potion of haste.
Okay.
I've got to be quick. And then all I can do now is move. So I'm going to move silently. Hopefully. Oh, 19 on a move silently.
Oh,
10, 15, 20.
Apophyse's eyes, while he is an older man, his eyes are sharp and he looks up, or rather his ears are sharp. He looks up and says, "Who goes there?" As he's heard the noise, but he obviously can't see you, and he just slams the book shut on the table, and will begin moving around to sort of start walking towards that door.
Well, I got to the table, so that's move, standard, swift. That's it?
Yeah, and he moves there because he used one of his things to close the book and stuff, and now he's gone round to use his movement. Apophis has been added onto the list as well.
God.
Okay. This is not how I saw this going at all, by the way. So, that was your turn. The guards are now going to argue about what has been happening, as they were before. I'm going to see which of them wins out of reason, because one of them is yelling that they saw something moving towards that window. The others are yelling that something happened with this door. So I think the only fair thing to do would be to work out who wins that. So roll me a d6, please. Actually, no. Let's make it more interesting. Let's Silaster and Ansel roll a straight d20. Whoever scores the highest have the most effective distraction, so they'll go for the opposite thing. So if Dom gets higher, they're looking at the door. If you get higher, Mike, they're going for the window. D20. The two guards say, "Listen, there's two of us and one of you, and we know that this door's slammed. Come on!" And begrudgingly, the other guard up there will go, "Fine," and they'll begin sort of like filing out the door, like to see what made the noise. That was very
But
lucky.
now we're stuck.
So they all sort of like assemble outside. There we go, and vanish from view. Ansel.
I kind of need to be able to see what's going on. Can I move to sort of the window area and
so
hide?
Sort of like window door, glass door that opens onto the balcony, so you can see straight through that. Yes, you can do a hide check. Not as high now because they're moving away, distracted, but still, you've got to get it good.
25's
Yeah, you're
alright.
You're a shadow.
I think, hopefully.
Let's see. Yeah, you're fine.
You're a shade.
Yeah, you're with the shade. You're one with the shade. You move there, and you're sort of like able to crouch around and look around the corner, and you spy them filing out into the central part of the tower. Anything else?
So the problem is we'll then be stuck on the balcony. So I don't know if I'm going to use it yet, but it's good to have it open, I think, as an option in a minute, so I don't have to talk while anyone's nearby. So I'll cast Unseen Servant.
Nice. Okay. Bloody hell.
Stibbons.
I don't have an Unseen Servant in there, so I'm just going to have to pull from my assets. What is he?
Thanks for your patience, Chew.
Yeah,
This colossal fuck up.
I'm rather enjoying it. Don't say but sorry to me.
Okay, as long as you're alright.
Great. I'm perfectly happy, mate. Don't worry about me. I'm still trying to think of a final question.
Okay, there we go. You now
Problem
have
is, the longer you guys take, the more pressure is on that question to be epic.
Did you like being king? What was your favourite meal?
What's your favourite colour?
Were you a gimp?
Ansel, you have, or you should have, control of the Unseen Servant.
Do you feel in control? I feel in control.
Yes. It's quite a cool looking Unseen Servant, actually.
It's a good one.
For it.
You'll see him in a minute, probably.
Oh yeah, you're sealed out of that point of vision. That's what I like about the door thing on the Roll20. To give Roll20 their due, obviously we've been having issues with it lately, but to give them their due, this is a nice feature. Sort of blocks out different compartments of what's happening in this area, which is quite fun. So where are you moving him to, Ansel?
I'll leave him where he is for now, I think, because I don't have a specific plan at this stage.
Good to know. Anything else on your turn? So you cast Unseen Servant. Did you hide this turn?
I've hidden. Yeah, so that was my movement,
Yeah,
really,
movement
and then
to hide,
yeah,
cast Unseen Servant. That's you, perfect. Apophis. Will look out and sort of be peering around, and he will say, "Is that you?" Show yourself. That's what his turn is going to be. Silaster, you hear Apophis say this, looking into sort of like the corners of the room, saying, "Is that you?"
Right. Silaster. There's only the speed bonus from haste. So he wants to do a move silently check to let the book kind of open on the crease to where it was.
Yeah, okay.
Because I want to essentially do a search check on the book.
Okay.
Because it looks interesting. 26.
26. So you open it up. And let's see if that's silent. Yeah. You open it up silently. Inside there is a list of the plans for the wedding. That's the wedding. Not the wedding. The other kind. The
Surprise!
Funeral. Surprise! The funeral. There are a number of plans, and this time you see how the list of names correlates to that. So you see Malvara, Queen of Ireland and High Commander of the Pentad. And it sort of like gives a location, the regal chamber that she's going to be accommodated within. Prince Corbro, Prince of the Undercroft.
Ooh.
Will be resting. Will be accommodated at the resting stone. Zandax, the voice of the first voice of the Exalted Council. Will be accommodated in the North Tower. Sorry, no, he's not the North Tower. He is, yes, he is in the North Tower, because the main accommodation of the North Tower will be taken by an individual known as the Paragon, and is simply named as the Paragon. But your eyes fall on the information that you've been looking for. That of the vassal lord of the elves and protector of Serador, Ectus Autumnfall, aka the Turnblade, will hold residence within the Tower of Elvenkind.
That's where Idrin will be as well.
And you're not sure whether you know about the Tower of Elvenkind. You can give me a history check.
What is my history? I do have it. It is a D20. 3.
Wow.
There are more towers, you think? No, not quite that bad, but no, you don't. That doesn't really mean anything to you. So you did a move silently, and you've looked through the book. I'll give you a free, or another movement, maybe something within reason, basically.
Okay, I'm hasted, so I've literally opened the book.
Oh, of course you are. You're hasted. Sorry.
And closed the book again.
Ah, nice.
Put it back. Move silently again. 35.
Amazing.
There's an absence of sound.
There is. It's like
a vacuum of sound.
Happens, and he's like, you just see Apophis sort of like his whole frame sort of like hunched and sort of like peering around, but he sees and hears nothing. that's Silaster. As far as you're concerned, Ansel, the guards around here are sort of like muttering to themselves and like saying, we should call this in. We should report this. Irregular noises in the council tower, particularly what with the suspicion and the tension within the city. And then the other guard says, it would be foolish to move from this position. Why? There is only one way up and down this tower, and it is that staircase. If there are intruders, they must come this way. Ansel, it's your turn.
Are they facing away from the door?
Yes, currently, yes. They'll, in fact, on their turn, they would have agreed and gone, yeah, and sort of making their way to, like, hold the staircase, effectively.
I'm going to send my unseen servant to, as if it was closing by itself, just naturally, and just shut that door.
Let's do it again! Is there a draft?
Well, you know, these old buildings.
Oh, sorry, I reopened it. There we go. Yeah, amazing. So the unseen servant just goes, invisibly moves along and gently guides the door closed. They will do a check, but it's going to be a pretty hefty one to do. Like, an unseen servant acting. No, you're fine. They appear to be quite content in their new position of, well, we're just going to guard this because it's the only way up and down the tower. If something's wrong, it makes sense, doesn't it? Anything else on your turn, Ansel? The unseen servant moves.
So based on what they've said, I'd probably wait. I'd probably wait a couple of seconds to see if they were going to come back through the door, because I don't know that they haven't spotted it. So I'd probably wait until next turn before re-entering the room.
Okay, all right then. Apophis now is going to say, I don't like this. More to himself than anything else. If it is you, make yourself known. I'm tired of these games. Show yourself! Show yourself! We're all to the guards. You can do a sense motive, Silaster.
Four. Give me a sec. 6.
Yeah, as you sort of like listening, you just see the old man just like sort of like looking around. And he says, he hisses, "Why do you haunt me?" Anything else on your turn? Anything on your turn at all? Silaster, it's your turn. Sorry.
Well, he's muttering, and Ansel's words earlier linger. 4 shadows. So Silaster is going to try something a little different. He's going to 5-foot duck under the table.
5-foot duck.
5-foot duck under the table.
Quack! It's a massive fucking duck. Appears in the room.
Okay.
And then he's going to deliberately slide this chair out to make it squeak on the floor, but slowly. And then he will say, he'll put on a bit of a deeper voice.
God, this is going to go terribly.
My presence is veiled.
My presence is veiled. Okay. I think
Having slid the chair out.
Apophis whirls about, I think because the guards are now keen to occupy the staircase, I think we can count them as evaded. I think we'll come back to this interaction. I think that's a great thing to do. So as you say, my presence is veiled. And we come out of initiative. Congratulations. Successful evasion mission from all of that. We return to the Chamber of Rest. My goodness me, that was epic. Unexpected and epic.
It's so wrong.
Epic is one word for it.
Okay.
A shower of shit is another.
Yes.
Yes, we move our vision back to the Chamber of Rest.
This could turn out to be a huge... It's just a huge anticlimax in... But I don't think I'm going to find anything really out, because
while that did seem like a long time, because it was a long time, but also in rounds, so really mere seconds, so we're still really in real time.
It's only been a couple of minutes, really.
Yeah, so Bogram, you still stand above the remains of the king, still beguiled with your sorcery. What remains of him, anyway?
Mm. Well, my next question will be, as it was always going to be, what do you know of Derek Redhaven, a.k.a. Father Wolf, a.k.a. the Blood Father? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so, but I just wasn't 100%.
The Blood Father is the only name that I recognize from that list. And I recognize it from the old stories. For it is said that the people of Thrandra, a town lost to my domain, all led an exodus to serve the Blood Father. They spoke his name in dreams, firstly. They were paid visits in the night. And suddenly an entire town went silent. I only know what the legends say. For when my ancestors rode to discover the cause of such, none were found.
So he knows the name of the Blood Father, like it means something to him, but I don't know that he's necessarily, in his investigation of the situation in the city, because he's also aware, clearly, in what he said, of the Ray's immortality, but I don't know if he has linked that Ray's immortality to the Blood Father. So I don't think that he is aware of the undead magic, or the undead magic may have only started after he died. So there's no good asking him about that.
He's alluded to the Blood Father being something that his ancestors knew about as well, so it's not like it's... That's more like...
Yeah, well, like, I mean, it doesn't make sense. It comes in the night, it's in the dream, so, like, the Blood Father could be some... Like, obviously, being a vampire, it's been around for a long, long time. sort of relating to his hands.
The vampire that boasted to watching him take his scale as well, you remember, in his journal. So Derek proceeds.
Kind of does
Dectus's
beg the question. He's been around for that long, the Bloodfather. So why is his plan happening now? Why is this undead power happening now? What's triggered it? What's changed? Has he been waiting the entire time, or has something occurred that's just made an opportunity arise that he has seized? That's the thing. But I don't think the king isn't going to know any of that. Like, I don't know that that's relevant to him. And really what it comes down to is finding out who had the biggest hand in the king's demise, so that we can find out more about them and their relationship to the plan. So I suppose the next question, the last question, can only really be something like, it's going to be something about who had the most of the people closest to you. We've already alluded to the fact that Arcane Zarya described the stuff that seemingly had the effect, the actual effect of killing him. She prescribed it. Whether that means that she set that up, she triggered that.
Well, the king said that Arcane Zarya prescribed the burning of Marley, which is a flower.
Absolutely.
And not seemingly a problem to the king, because the king would have agreed with that. So,
yeah, absolutely. And so the question is, did she prescribe it in order to trigger something? So she caused it, or did she prescribe it and somebody tampered with it to make that happen? But we know of Apophis and the Four Shadows, so that's so tough, isn't it? I don't want to waste a question, but at the same time, I don't think too much hangs on it, really, because I don't know that he knows any more than what he saw in the last moments of his death, which is helpful. I think that's probably the information that I required anyway, but do you have any reason to believe that any of your closest counsel, particularly Apophis, were affected by outside it's a word for when something's bad. Nefarious influences, not just influences, but like bad influences. Do you have any reason to believe that any of your closest counsel, particularly Apophis, were under the influence of nefarious outside forces?
The body lies still for a moment, and another shuddering, like, jolt goes through it as the corpse of the king continues to speak. Apophis, the first voice, serve me faithfully for a great span of my rule. He offered me wise council and always urged me to rule justly, urged me to think beyond my instinct of the blue scale, to look past calculation and cold logic and look for the nuance, the detail, the emotion at play. And against my better judgment, he was right. It is why it struck a chord deeply with me that through the twilight months of my life, that Apophis began to counsel against that notion.
Yeah. I picked up on that. He did.
Against acting against a threat perceived by most to be of a grave consequence. Something occurred that made him change his mind against a lifetime of counsel. A great many years of counsel.
Got it.
It is, as the arcane Zarya suggested, that we may act against this power, but to do so swiftly may mean triggering its wrath. But I fear I was too slow. And the last day of my reign will be remembered for my inaction. And regretfully, the last words spoken in this instance of speaking with the king are that of remorse and regret.
Yeah, with my hand sort of hovering over his head in this power with his last words, and it's like I've been pulling and somebody snipped it, because I kind of pull back as well as the power breaks as his body falls flat. Like the power that was tethering us kind of, the force pulls us apart, and it's just like I have to stand for a good 30 seconds because it's just exhausting doing that spell. I imagine there's like an eerie silence afterwards as well. That there's now just this inanimate lump of flesh again.
Very much so. Great last question. Okay. Well done.
I have a bunch of stuff to think about. I have a couple of things to research. And a little bit of information on Apophis. But we kind of thought there was something wrong with him, but now we know there was a definite change in his character, which is very helpful. We know the effect of what killed the king from his perspective, so we can now look that up using research and spellcraft to try and figure out if it was magic, if it was chemical. I think we've got a bit of like a good standing, a good place to go from there. So from here on, I will, utterly exhausted, spend the rest of my time hastily trying to do my best work, doing what I was paid to do. Not paid to do necessarily, well, not yet anyway, but like just, get on with it.
I think we should see how well you do given the circumstance, because you do have a profession skill, Bokram.
I do. I've put a few points into it because of that, the feat I took, and the sort of, there was a bit of a thing about a feat and it sort of crossing over with something else that I had, so I've put some points into it as well. It's not amazing, but it's as good as my knowledge arcana, which is pretty good. So okay, mortician. Here's where I fuck it up, and the king looks really up for his funeral. Just sewed him up wonky. Oh no, why have I said that now?
Don't say it.
Here we go. That's okay. 22.
And that is an excellent job. That is a artisan's roll that is way beyond average. So you are actually able to do an excellent job of what you needed to do at this stage of the process. You'll obviously have more work to do, but thankfully you're able to do this very well and to the heights of your profession, and you also avoid bad taxidermy, which is great.
Drunken tax.
You see those like bad animal taxidermy books.
The really messed up looking fox that just looks super hungover.
A lion with a flat face, like a face of a dish.
Yes.
Anyway,
I imagine it's like the organs, the important organs are stored, and he's kind of filled with sweet-smelling things and the usual for.
And with
the royal.
We move from the very depths of the castle to its very heights.
Actually went better than I thought it was going, boys. So
conversely, from the
bring it back.
The heights of competence to the depths of.
Yeah, I want to know how well Mike with his what's your charisma score?
You'll find out soon enough.
So
it's going to convince a guy. I'm excited.
As we left it then, we left it, my presence is veiled, I believe you said, Silaster, in your deepest, gruffest voice, and Apophis will whirl around and answer. Seeing that the chair has been scraped forward, he'll say, "Long have you evaded my sight? Will you show me who you are? Will you reveal yourself, finally? I have many questions and I am very, very confused."
Silaster's thinking of Council and what would Obsidian say in this moment.
Oh, God.
And so in his gruffest voice he says, "Well, ask them."
He'll say like a quavering step, like reaching his hand out, like quivering, you notice, to like press his hand on the table. Because you're under the table, you then just see like his robed knees, basically, like you see that much of him now as he stands like staring over at the end of the table where you are, and he will say, "There's been a darkness that has shrouded my sight, shrouded my judgment, and shrouded this very city. And ever you have watched over me. You are a dark cloud on a summer's day. What do you want from me?"
Silaster's on the spot trying to think of the best way to word this. Again, he thinks, remember the two of them. What news do you provide?
What news? What news? My designs have been halted once again. My work here is undermined. One moment I believe I am awake, the other that I am dreaming. What news? What news is the king is slain. Near 2 weeks slain. And still I am no closer to achieving my goal. You watch from the shadows. And you laugh. And you judge. And you whisper. Where is...
Silaster sees a rebel.
He will say, "Where is your lord? Your lord of blood and shadow."
Blood, shadow. Silaster thinks there's only one Lord of Blood he knows. Silaster will kick this chair away. Make it seem like maybe someone has stood up abruptly.
He goes, "Whoop!" as you kick the chair. Alarmed by the sudden noise, he takes a step away.
Silaster has a suspicion he's talking about. You would do better than to speak of him.
That is going to be either intimidate or a charm. Or,
charm?
No, not charm. Sorry, it would be an intimidate. It's definitely intimidate.
This is it.
Could all fall apart here.
6.
Oh, -3.
Like,
somebody jumped charisma, didn't they?
What was the words that you said just then, Silaster?
You would do best than to speak his name.
Says just a dull voice from under the table. Just like,
no. Really better than to speak his name.
And you see Apophis like going from like a crooked, like bent, cowardly man, like to rise up with great anger and say, "Do not say your conviction has ended now." And he'll like start like rushing over to where the table, to that side of the table where the chair got kicked out. I will have answers. He's like sort of like shrieks as like he makes his way around the table, like he's using the table like to hold on to as he like staggers around it, like so, bent with like emotion and heightened anger. And he reaches there.
Silaster will, in his hopefully new gruff voice, taking a 5-foot shuffle this way.
Under the table.
What would you have me do?
I would have my... And he stops. I would have what was promised. That is what I would have of you.
Silastra is desperately racking his head. He is not the talking one. He
silently,
is
like, desperately thinking under the table. What do I say?
He's thinking either he has one more question in him, or he's got one more question probably before he's going to run. So in his final deep voice, so that's it. I tell the Bloodfather nothing.
Give me another intimidate. It won't be as high a DC. We'll see. It's going to be harder for him to resist because that's quite scary.
Oh, that's actually good for Silastra.
Oh, -3. Fucking hell, man. You say I'll give I'll give nothing to the Bloodfather. Did you say, or say nothing to the Bloodfather?
So that's it. I give the Bloodfather nothing.
I give the Bloodfather nothing, and he will screech, falling to his knees, saying, "I have given him everything!" And he will basically put his hands on the table and just shove books, goblets, glasses on the table, grabs the map, tears it in half, picks up the chair, hurls it across the room, like full wrecking a room scene, like just erupts. Like he rushes to this cabinet and just smashes it down onto the ground. Glass spreads everywhere across the floor, and he's breathing heavy.
As he does this, will you permit me a touch attack?
Yeah, you're under the table. You can just reach out, 5-foot step, and touch him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just leaning out, and I just want to pinch his ankle.
Okay.
I will explain in a moment. It is a maneuver.
Just pinch.
16 to touch.
Yeah, that's a
flat-footed
touch.
as well.
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
Could he make a fortitude save for me?
Ooh, okay, interesting.
DC 17.
17. He fails.
That is lucky, because that
It was
gives me
lucky
an
because he
escape.
was one off. He got 16.
Oh. Okay, he's paralyzed now for 1 round. As I then
further selling that as a paranormal attack.
So you're just going to rush away, are you?
Yeah, I pinch his Achilles tendon, which is like... And then... So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 5, 10, 15... I can get up to the door.
Yeah, you rush
from
to
under
the
table.
door.
And then... Next round,
you can
I
open the
then leave.
door as well if you haven't. The door is already open, isn't it? Or is it?
It is now.
There it is. Yeah. So you rush to the door. Ansel, all this time you just heard this like room wrecking going on. What are you doing at this point? And then right before Silastra comes out, or you can say you see Silastra act now if you want. It's entirely up to you. If you'll have wanted to plan something, you could have planned something.
I would imagine my invisibility is probably wearing off at that point as well.
Probably on the verge, yeah.
I think Ansel would have... Oh, I'm stuck outside.
Oh no, yeah. So you go
It's
to
locked.
open that window and it's locked, yeah.
Shit. I'll have to use the knock wand, I guess.
Well, you have 10 charges in the
Is
one
that-
knock, so there's 10 to you, so they're there to be used, so why not?
So I need to do the same thing as before. So this could.
Got to threaten the one into working.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't hear you.
I'm not quite as good at it as. What do I need to do? Intelligence. Oh yeah. Well, that's a failure. So I've not done it for one round at least.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but you can. Shall we say then you'll get 3 attempts to make it trigger. I'll say so you can give it another go.
The second is even worse, and that is even worse. I'm stuck outside.
You're just busy shouting at the one that won't work.
Fucking whack!
It's at that point that you see the door open there, but no one is there. Because Silasser is invisible.
Ducks back down into the... Jesus. How do I roll a 5, a 4, and a 3? This is ridiculous.
That is pretty bad. Silasser.
Yeah.
You see just in the corner, you can see Ansel sort of like shouting outside.
10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Do I have line of sight? I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course you can.
I move for 30, and then I use my shadow jaunt to appear behind him. Could you move me outside, please?
Yeah, of course I can. Oh, I'm going to use the... that's the first time I did it. That's the only time I've done that so far. Using the wrong one. Zoom. You shadow jaunt outside.
I'm next to you. As you just
You have a few
This
moments
is-
to discuss. Yes.
Not an exit, Silaster. It's a long way down.
If I look over the side,
You could look
can I see if there's any other windows open down below?
Ooh, that is a great question. Give me a spot check. Won't be a difficult one, but you still got to do it.
Yeah.
Ansel, you can do the same if Silaster shares that information of him.
If he says what he's doing, yes, absolutely.
I'll say, I'm looking for a window down below us. 10.
10, yeah, you see...
14.
Yeah, you see more. There's a few that you reckon you could zip into. Some of them are just shutters, so wouldn't be locked. Or you know, wooden shutters rather than the immaculate glass that's on the opulent level of the tower.
Can you hold your breath for 3 minutes?
Can I hold my breath for 3 minutes? That is a good question.
So you can hold your breath for your Constitution score, I believe.
Which is 13.
So,
not the modifier, the score.
I think it's actually your score times 2.
As in rounds?
That's rounds, yeah.
I was going to say not minutes.
No, that'd be an inhuman.
Yeah, that'd be a long time.
So what's your...
So 26.
26 divided by 6 then.
6 seconds.
26 divided by 6 equals...
Yeah, so it's a breathe can hold a breath for 2 rounds per point of Constitution. So it's your Constitution score times 2.
So that would be a minute and a half I can hold my breath for.
It sounds like a lot when you're doing it, doesn't it?
2 minutes and a half.
Constitution
Sorry,
score
two and a
times
half
2,
minutes.
that's loads.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you trust me if I get us down below a floor? I can't teleport unless you're, well, in the bag. And I look in there and see the corpse.
Oh god.
I wonder if you were inside of a bag of holding and the bag of holding got thrown off of a building, would you take damage?
Let's not find out today.
No, but I want to find out.
I choose to
Mike's
trust
plan
you,
sounds like it
Celeste.
might be just as batshit, so go ahead.
Okay.
It certainly could result in a drop.
As Ansel's kind of stepping into the bag of holding, I'm going to just reset and just take a moment to get my maneuvers back.
Okay, yeah.
Right. I will explain everything later.
Okay.
And so you hold your breath and you clamber into the bag, climbing over a number of items that have been thrown into the bag of holding. But this is the first time we've had anyone go into the bag of holding, so you enter and there... I mean...
Narnia.
It is a bit strange. It just appears to be... There's no decoration in it. It's just like a very small pocket dimension. So it's kind of like this... I've always imagined this sort of like dark kind of bluish black space. Everything seems a bit nebulous and strange, and dotted around are the various items that you've collected on your adventure so far. But of course, the most recent being the corpse of the castle guard that lies dead at the very entrance of the bag of holding, which you clamber over to gain entrance to this place.
I'll push that a little bit further away from where I'm gonna
He
sit.
sort of rolls, and he rolls over like a lot of gold and some braces of armor that you've not used or whatever, and comes to rest against a bag of jewels or whatever that you've picked up.
Okay.
And then the bag closes.
Get stepping.
Boom.
Light leaves you. I will pick up the bag, and I am going to use Dance of the Spider stance to run down the side of the building until I get to the next window, where I can get line of sight through the window to shadow jaunt somewhere.
Oh my word. Incredible. So, yeah, you're able to do that. And with how long can you run?
So long as I keep one hand on the wall indefinitely.
Oh, okay. Then you'll be able to go down as far up the tower as you want then in that case, because there's windows all the way down. So in that case, how far down do you want to go before you jump back into a window or elsewhere?
I'm going to count to 60.
Oh my word. Okay. So then, Mike...
Are you counting Mississippi?
Describe for us then this phenomenal act of Silaster hurling himself over a balcony to then run down the council tower.
It would look almost like a controlled fall, because he's got one hand holding the bag of holding, making desperately sure, and then one hand has to make contact with the wall, but he's just sprinting as fast as he can down, as it looks like he's falling, but for some reason he's just holding on and gripping.
Amazing.
But he's very conscious he's going to be quick here, because if someone were to look up, they would be very confused.
Well, this is the brilliant thing about where you are. You've chosen the excellent side of the tower, which then just ends with tower and goes straight to cliff face, as you'll notice. So you go straight down, and then you're approaching the bottom of the tower, and you anticipate this is the optimum time to be able to jump out right at the bottom of the tower. You'll be able to teleport into one of the windows. You see one that's slightly ajar. You estimate that's enough vision for you to be able to see it. And you can just do that, right? You can just go shadow jaunt, right?
To maneuver, yep. As long as I can see.
You portal appear in the window, and you're able to roll with the momentum that you have generated from going down the castle wall. You find you have to skid and slide down this castle corridor to stop yourself.
quickly can open the bag.
Ansel, I'm not sure if it actually happens at any point in Nightmare Before Christmas, but I feel like there's a point where Jack rises out of something, just head first, and just and it's just like that. He starts below you, and then just very quickly he is towering over you, and he's like, deja vu.
Welcome back.
Are we safe?
For now, but we need to go a little bit further.
And where are we?
Almost at the bottom of the tower.
Oh, good.
Bit more to go.
Because of the excellent... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just let's crack on.
Because of the fact you've just skipped out going down the tower, you've only got to make 2 rolls to get back to where you were. So, 2 high checks, please. We'll go with the first. Off you go.
$33.
31.
Oh my word! And then stealth.
Now we roll well.
Metal Gear Solid Splinter Cell combined, you move your way through the castle, putting your backs into the shadows as guards walk by. One of them complains about hearing something smashing upstairs. And making another and final roll to get you back to Bogram.
Oh, 37.
Oh, nice. 26.
Lovely. You're able to steal your way back to the Chamber of Rest, and by this point, Bogram, you've been applying your craft to the king and making him look very respectable and regal with your mortician's tricks. Ansel and Silaster bowl into the room.
Because the room, but it's really quite frantic because the room's really.
Yeah, it's a real culture shift.
There's maybe almost he's probably almost requested some sort of just a little bit of someone outside the room, and then it's just playing something really peaceful, just
really, when you go to a spa.
Yeah, just something really relaxed so that he can concentrate, but it's just silent, and then boom, just absolute madness bursts in. Hi.
We got you a gift.
Yeah. We certainly did.
Very thoughtful. Okay.
How was your morning?
Productive. As you can see, I'm almost finished here. Should probably put your robes back on.
Oh, Ansel.
Yes.
That key is still in my pocket.
Oh, for fuck's you Bilbo Baggins. Oh no, here it is.
Baggins?
In my pocket.
I'll put it back in the bag of holding. And as we're putting on the robes, I'll say to the two of them, so I believe the Apophis is being controlled, or is willingly working.
I came to the same
Dark
conclusion.
Red Haven.
I don't believe he's willingly working for him. I believe he was a good man. He's under some sort of mind control.
He is definitely working for him.
Yeah. From what I discovered here, it's Apophis under some sort of mind control, and I have a rough idea of the way the king was dispatched. I just need to have a better understanding of it to know how it could have been done, to know whether it was specifically by his hand or not.
All things considered, then, productive.
Did we run into trouble?
Bogram, look, as I open the bag and show him the corpse of the palace guard.
The perfectly innocent man just doing his job. The sort of man I was using as an example for my son earlier today. Not coming home to his family.
It didn't go without a hitch, shall we say?
Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. That looks like an armored zombie to me. Oh, my morals, where did they go?
It's a good question, and one that we'll have to have a conversation about one day, I'm sure.
But you got sort of what you required, right? Information and...
I don't know, in many ways, we only got the same information as you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well look...
But it's nice to have it double confirmed.
We're not discovered, right? Like... You seem
no,
to...
No, the only one who saw us is dead.
Okay, then.
He's in the bag.
He's in the bag.
What's in the bag?
Hylaster, we need to have a conversation, friend. Can't just go around killing people.
It was self-defense.
It was him or us.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I think that what you did today and what I did today, I think we would both be put to death for it outside of this castle. So let's just not split hairs.
Let's just leave it there, shall we?
Just leave it there, absolutely. For sure. I think we're wrapped up here. I think we're good.
It is as you say. I think we're wrapped up here.
Clothes back on.
The dragon guard can be heard. Vroom, 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 vroom. And perhaps you secretly are thankful that it is the castle guard and not the dragon guard that you encountered in the council chamber. For usually, that is where they guard, or one of the places where they guard. But for this vigil, and they return to their vigil and give silent reverence on their return. And you're able to...
back in their place. We just uncomfortably, give them a...
All right.
Job done, boys.
We didn't kill anyone.
He was doing necromancy on the king. Nothing. None of those things. We didn't do anything.
And you're able to make your way out of the castle. As you move through the city, I'll just have I have just one question really that we'll sort of have as a discussion that'll help us wrap up, because this is really just taking place during the morning. Is there anything that you want to do next, and what will it be that you're planning from this point on? It's okay if you don't have an answer. If you don't, then we'll come to a close. But just curious if you'd like to discuss what your next step might be, given what you've learned with this intelligence, whilst it's fresh in your mind.
Do we know how to break the mental control of a vampire?
Research for next time.
I think that's something we need. I don't know whether it's some sort of dispel. I can do that.
We need to know how to do that, and we need to research this concoction that the king was
so
killed
we
by.
need to.
So the library seems a good call again.
Silaster needs to scout the Tower of Elvenkind.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
What's that?
I'm really sorry, Silaster. You would have also, with the list of people that you had found, you would have also had seen. I got a bit put out of joint because I couldn't find the list, and then once I had the list, I gave you the names, but not all the detail. The date of which they will be arriving for the funeral, because a number of these individuals, as you can imagine, coming from Serador, the Undercroft, places far, far away, will need a number of days to get there, even with magical transportation. And as they would have been summoned to this a good while back, they've been pretty much on the move, a couple of days after hearing the news. So let's see then. Today is the 15th day of reaping. You know that they will be arriving on the 21st day of reaping.
2 days before the funeral.
Yeah, so they'll be arriving and have basically a day of recuperation and then the funeral. And that is royalty and lofty lords of the dwarves of the Undercroft, the elves of Serador, the exalted council of Eldarium, and others. You think you saw the counts of the Penny Kingdoms on there as well?
Yes. Scribbled out and changed quite a lot.
Yes.
They show up, but he's just a bit more ridiculous than everyone else. Everyone else is a bit more serious.
Yeah,
he just stands
who's
out.
The count? Who's the Count of Narvine again? Is he dead? Is he? What happened to this?
Didn't he sell it?
Yeah, didn't he lose it in a bet? Okay, so there was that. Sorry, I missed that out, Mike. I thought better tell you now rather than leave it. Okay, so that's one thing. You need to work to find out about the vampire's control. The Tower of Elvenkind. So you know you've got a little while to look into that, Silaster. Any other immediate plans?
So after research,
you still have the shrieking undead menace.
We do still have that. It still terrifies me to my core, though. So I'm not sure. We have leveled up since we fought.
You have, and that is the way to whatever the Cult of the Lightbreakers are doing under there.
Yeah, and we think that Grin is in that sort of region as well. We think he's down there.
Yeah.
So it would be useful.
Yeah.
I don't know whether. See, a higher level necromancer would be able to do things like have more control over undead. But because I'm not high enough level, most of my stuff is undeath used against the living. So anything I do sort of is there to boost undead. I can make it much stronger.
Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah, let's do that.
Can we avoid it?
What we need is either a way to get past it, yeah, or maybe the help of a cleric. Could we ask?
We know a powerful cleric.
Yeah, fair way away.
Yeah, a long way away.
Or cleric-like abilities, like if we could get scrolls or what? It's a case of being able to recover lost points. You know, because if it can sap ability scores, like it sapped my charisma, it can probably do others as well. That's going to screw us. As soon as that happens, we're done. We're out of the fight. if we had a way to recover that, I feel like we'd stand more of a chance. But those are expensive.
And we spent all our money on beer and whores.
There is that.
Yeah, we did. The other thing is we go to the end of the corridor. I use every spell slot I've got to summon just as many undead as I can in that room, and we basically play Pokemon. We just stay away, weaken it like that, go back the next day, do the same thing. I don't think, actually not sure any of my undead can touch it because it's incorporeal, and I don't think any of them have magic attacks this level.
You found an oil that will help you strike an incorporeal creature.
It has to go on a weapon though, right?
We didn't work out whether that could go on Silaster's mitts or not, did we?
It can't.
Okay, then it can't.
No.
What do you know, Silaster? A problem you can't punch.
Damn it.
Yeah, that's harsh. You did very well with problem solving today.
Oh my god, I just realised I've got a spell that stops...
That can just get rid of it.
Win.
Yeah. Power word win.
So
We
it
win.
stops you from
Power word win.
negative levels. It doesn't stop you from taking ability damage. Damn it. I got confused. Be useful though, I think, on all of us against negative levels. I don't know. I just don't know. My most hefty damage is all from inflict. Negative energy would all heal it.
Great.
We do need to go there, and we do need to beat it. I just don't quite know how at the moment.
Do we need some planning time? Is that where we're...
Yeah. Can we ask Craig if he fancies coming in for a session as a powerful paladin or cleric?
Like,
Sincerely ask.
maybe a bit more powerful than us, even. Maybe level 12.
Craig, could you just,
20.
Enter Craig, 20th level cleric.
Hey, Rob.
Okay, well, all right. It sounds to me like you want more time to think about this. Then, in that case, because where you go now, you've got a few leads. And what plays on your mind, probably most, Silaster and Ansel, is that while you're able to get some information from the Council Tower, there were those two rooms that you were not able to enter, which you have a feeling might have held a crucial piece to the puzzle. As you walk through the city then, as we're wrapping up, I'll ask for one final check, please. And to be honest, this check is only really going to be effective if Silaster and Ansel succeed. And you'll understand why very shortly.
What check would you like?
Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't say it. Just a check, yeah.
Use
your imaginations, for God's sake. A spot check, please. A spot check. It won't be a particularly hard one, but it still needs to be made.
Do you know what? I'm going to try anyway.
Yeah.
I can just prod Silaster if I spot. I won't. I suck at spot.
15.
18.
Okay, that's fine.
Also 18.
The thing is,
Yes.
is that you have never met this person, so would not know to look for them to recognise them. However, as you're walking through the busy streets of Valdenor, sort of like leading away from the castle, you kind of double take Silaster and Ansel as you spot someone that you recognise standing in an alleyway, peering out at you, before steadily taking a step back and then another step back, is Scardy the dwarf.
Scardy?
And as his eyes widen,
I thought he was dead.
That is where we'll leave today's session. So there we are.
You little bastard!
He owes us money.
No, he doesn't.
No, we haven't delivered anything for him to.
I'm going to be honest, the name full on rings a bell, but I actually can't remember who Scardy is. So it's quite appropriate that Bogram's never met him. So
Scardy,
can't remember
just as a recap then, Scardy was the dwarf that commissioned you to get the birdcage from the Dusk Flower.
Yeah.
And you weren't there because that was the couple of days when you'd first arrived back in Valdenor and you were spending time with your family like a good father.
Yeah.
So there we go. That is the session concluded, and oh wow, I think we covered a lot of ground there, as is tradition now. I will go around final thoughts of the session. Let's start with Mike. Your final thought, please, before we conclude.
Well, he got what he wanted, but wouldn't call it a success. But, you know, I think there's an element he's considering what he missed, but he knows that he's got the key things he needs for the future.
Yeah, of course. It'll hang over you like a weight indeed, I think.
Welcome back, Tom.
I've got a Dom. Matt, final thought of the session.
Well, I have a couple of things actually.
Yeah,
one
please.
is it's on Bogram's mind that I think he committed. Would we call it high treason?
Yeah.
Would we?
Yeah.
Is
Pretty
it treason?
much.
I mean, is it treasonous? It's
It's one of the gravest crimes in the realm being inflicted upon the king.
like
yes, it is.
on the king, like on royalty, like that's like looking up a dead royal skirt or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you can't do that. Would we call that treason? It's definitely one of the worst things. And if somehow
Yes,
magically they're able to find out he did it, he's in big trouble. But hopefully they can't. So that's one thing. And the other thing really is, aside from the research we need to do, is just that thing under the ground that we ran from. He's racking his brain as to how to approach that fight. Like, I know that you said, Rob, like, it's not out of the realms of possibility for us to beat it at our level. It's not our level that's the problem, I don't think. It's just
the circumstance. The
makeup of our party isn't totally suited to fighting that sort of enemy, and it's that's his main thought. Like, how are we going to take that on? But yeah.
Very good. Finally, Knave of the Sickle Moon, as it rises this session. Thoughts, Tom?
Yeah. Always concerned with interaction from the Queen of the Sickle Moon. That's always a worry. And quite what's going on there. I think that's probably the main thing on his mind. Is what has become of his friend.
Right. Well, yeah, all that to say, I think you all did incredibly well. As my final thought of the session, I think, given that there was so much to achieve in such a space of time, I think you did admirably well. Really great creativity from the infiltration team. Really, really fun moments as well. And fucking top
Got
notch,
out of that really well.
top-notch questions from Bogram as well. I think that, because I kind of like built it up in my head, like, oh my god, we're gonna talk to the king, and it's gonna be like a big moment. And I feel like it paid off. I like that you got some juice from it. All that to say,
For sure.
Yeah.
For those of you watching live and after the fact, thank you ever so much for dropping by. Safe to say, I think technically we've done better. It seems that way.
Felt pretty smooth.
So I don't want to jinx it, but there we are. So thank you ever so much for your patience regarding all of that. Thanks for watching, and all that remains for me to say is, if you like this video, go to like. If you want to see more like it, give us a subscribe and roll them bones. Take it easy.
Roll.